Chapter 476. Jiang Chongkong was not interested in 100 immortal stones. What he needed now was a large amount of essence, qi, and spirit. The rest of the immortal stones were useful to Ao Qingyu and Little Dragon King. They could go into seclusion to improve themselves. Thank you. I plan to refine these 2 inner cores into elixirs. Ao Qingyu put away the cauldron. It's enough to refine first-grade elixirs. There were still a lot of herbs in the treasury. They should be able to refine some elixirs. Jiang Chongkong asked the prawns and crabs to leave. He pointed with his finger and passed the completed ancestral dragon scripture to her and Little Dragon King. I got the first level by accident in the mortal world. I couldn't understand it until you passed it to me. Jiang Chongkong casually brushed it off. If they knew that he could complete the cultivation technique, they would not have a peaceful life in the future. He reckoned that he would not have a peaceful life in the future. He would probably cry and beg him to complete the ancestral dragon scripture. Thank you. I didn't expect you to have such a fortuitous encounter. It must be left behind by the first Ocean King. Ao Qingyu was a little excited as she digested the information in her mind. Brother Chongkong, thank you, Little Dragon King said obediently. Jiang Chongkong smiled. Don't spread this news. Don't let it get robbed again. I know. Ao Qingyu nodded. I'll go into seclusion first. I'll leave the Dragon King to you. Jiang Chongkong left with Little Dragon King. Little Dragon King took 10 low-grade immortal stones and stored the rest in the treasury. The rest would continue to be stored in the treasury, and Ao Qingyu would also use some. When he returned to the palace, the signboard had been changed. It was the East Sea Dragon Palace. The martial immortal lobster ran in and said respectfully, Dragon King, I've received a reply from the martial immortal monster kings nearby. The 6 martial immortal monster kings nearby decided to come together in 3 days to congratulate the Dragon King. The martial immortal monster king replied and carefully prostrated. Little Dragon King was not stupid. He frowned and looked at Jiang Chongkong. Jiang Chongkong smiled. What are the 6 demon immortals? Lord, the 6 demon monarchs are Dragon Crab, Dragon Turtle, Silver Dragon, Azure Dragon, Dragon Clam, and Poison Dragon. The immortal martial lobster replied. Then, he began to tell them about the Beast Kings. The Dragon Crab was a giant crab, a peak martial immortal. A Dragon Turtle, a silver carp dragon, and a big silver carp. Azure Dragon. It was an azure fish. Jiang Chongkong almost jumped in fright. The Dragon Clam was a sea clam, and the poisonous dragon was a venomous snake. Jiang Chongkong rubbed the space between his brows. These demon kings really knew how to stick gold on their faces. They had nothing to do with the true dragon. If there was any relationship, it would be that they had the incomplete ancestral dragon scripture. All of them had their eyes on the Little Dragon King. All of them wanted to transform into a true dragon. After pondering for a moment, Jiang Chongkong ordered, collect these 6 species. 3 days later, use them to prepare a banquet for the 6 monster kings. My lord, I don't think that's appropriate. The martial immortal lobster was startled. If Jiang Chongkong used the true forms of the 6 monster kings to entertain them, wouldn't that infuriate them? What? You dare to disobey my order? The Little Dragon King's face turned cold. No, I don't dare. I will do it right away. The martial immortal martial lobster quickly excused herself and went to deal with it. Brother Chongkong, I am going to cultivate in seclusion too. You can sit here and deal with it. The Little Dragon King jumped down from the throne and gave the seat to him. Jiang Chongkong's face darkened. You are the Dragon King. You are even more unreliable than me. At least I did not give up and give the seat to someone else. It has just started, and you are already giving me the seat of the Dragon King? The 13 Sea Kings said that you are a great emperor in the mortal world. You are more powerful than me. You are the current Dragon King. I will cultivate in seclusion first. the little Dragon King said, and was about to run away. Jiang Chongkong lifted her up and said sternly, Dragon King, I can help you. However, you must quickly grow up and become a qualified Dragon King. Brother Chongkong, you said strength is everything. I am going to cultivate in seclusion, the little Dragon King said sternly. Very well. We will take turns. Jiang Chongkong put down the little Dragon King. If he was not going to cultivate, he would help. He would give it to her when she came out. Soon, the news spread. Jiang Chongkong had gained the status of a substitute Dragon King. He also threw the corpse of the peak martial immortal monster king to the Dragon King and Ao Qingyu. Substitute Dragon King, this is the immortal blood left behind by the monster kings you killed. It has been collected. The divine dragon lobster said respectfully while holding a crystal neck. Jiang Chongkong opened the bottle. There were 3 types of blood in it. The peak martial immortal serpent and the early stage martial immortal prawn and crab. After all, it was immortal blood. It was of great help to those below the immortal level. His chaotic divine power swept over and processed the immortal blood. Only pure and gentle energy remained. He tossed it to the divine dragon lobster. This is your reward. Become an immortal soon and assist the Dragon King. Thank you, Substitute Dragon King. The divine dragon lobster hugged the bottle excitedly and carefully put it away. Jiang Chongkong looked in the direction of the Ascension Pond. How does the immortal realm contact the mortal world? Can I open a passageway to the mortal world? Open a passageway to the mortal world. The divine dragon lobster was surprised. He said, according to my understanding, there is a passageway to the mortal world in the heavenly court. However, only deities can enter the mortal world. Furthermore, there is a problem with the world the substitute Dragon King is in. There's a problem? Jiang Chongkong frowned. Yes, the immortal world is unable to contact the 12 mortal realms of the East Sea where the previous Dragon King is. Unless one is lucky enough to find that immortal door. Unless one is lucky enough to find the immortal gate, even an immortal king cannot open it, the divine dragon lobster explained. He paused for a moment, then said, the heavenly court might have a way. However, I don't think they will help. Tell me the details. Jiang Chongkong said. The mortal world that the substitute Dragon King is in should be an ancient immortal god experiment field. I don't know what they are researching. At the start, the Heavenly Court, Celestial Court, and Celestial Court all paid attention to this matter and started to search for such mortal world. However, after they opened it, they found that the resources inside were almost depleted. There was only a bunch of low-grade items. There weren't even any immortal Tao laws. The divine dragon lobster said everything he knew. The immortals didn't care about such a world without immortal Tao laws. As for the people inside, they had checked and there was nothing special about them. As for the ultimate combat body, the 3 factions scoffed. With a single glance, they could tell that it was impossible to succeed with the trash left behind by the ancient immortal gods. The immortal artifacts left behind in the mortal world were the lowest grade. There were many of these in the immortal realm. They found over 100 such worlds and they were all in the same situation. The 3 factions had already given up. It was a thankless task. They were helping the mortal world open the celestial gate. Therefore, the heavenly court definitely wouldn't allow Jiang Chongkong to open the passageway to the mortal world and return to the 12 mortal world. This was a losing deal. Then, do you know what level of immortal god can open the passageway? Jiang Chongkong asked. You are making things difficult for me. I used my identity in the heavenly court to see this information. The divine dragon lobster took out a jade token. This was the token that represented his identity in the heavenly court. With this, you can go to the heavenly court's immortal god and look up basic information in the heavenly court. Only you can use it. Chapter 477. Ancient Immortal God Experiment Ground? Those immortals studied the fusion of the Trilite combat body? What was the ultimate combat body they pursued? Would it be my chaotic Tao body? Jiang Changkong's thoughts fluttered as he thought about many things. The divine lobster stood at the side, not daring to disturb him. After a long while, Jiang Changkong looked at the divine lobster. Are there any chaotic cultivators in the heavenly court's basic information? No. The divine lobster shook his head. Jiang Changkong nodded and didn't ask any more questions. The divine lobster was too weak. It was probably because of the Dragon King of the East Sea that they gave him a random identity to accompany the Dragon King. He could check the unimportant information, but he couldn't check the more important ones. Only immortals could descend to the mortal world. Martial immortals, human immortals, and heaven immortals couldn't descend easily. That was because there was a backlash in the mortal world, and the power of laws was thin. Those below the immortal level might not be able to withstand the backlash and might be severely injured, causing their strength to drop. Immortals were different. They were very strong and didn't fear the backlash. If he wanted to open the passage to the mortal world, he had to be at least a deity. He might even have to surpass the immortal level. After all, immortals could only descend to the mortal world. Jiang Changkong waved his hand to dismiss the lobster. He sat on the throne and started to take a nap. Without energy, cultivation would be too slow. He was also worried that he would accidentally become a human immortal. His postnatal chaotic Tao body was still lacking 500,000. Little Dragon King and Ao Qingyu went into seclusion, leaving everything to Jiang Changkong. Nothing big happened in the territory. The East Sea Dragon Palace easily took over. 3 days passed quickly. Many of the 6 marine creatures were caught and made into dishes. Some were cooked and some were raw. The banquet had been set up. Divine light illuminated the crack at the bottom of the sea. Buzz. A powerful celestial power swept across the East Sea Dragon Palace. A powerful celestial aura spread. A peak martial immortal monster king arrived. The Azure Dragon King is here. An azure fish had taken on a human form, and there were many fish scales on its body. Welcome, Azure Dragon King. Please come in. Early stage martial immortal prawns and crabs welcomed him at the door. I congratulate the Dragon King on his return. I wish the Dragon King a long life and the prosperity of the East Sea. The Azure Dragon King performed a cupped fist salute as a form of congratulations, not even a gift. After entering the East Ocean Dragon Palace, there was a table in the hall, and the dishes had not been served yet. The Azure Dragon Great King narrowed his eyes, and his expression sank slightly. Who are you? Where is the Dragon King of the East Sea? The King of the Azure Dragon knew that the Dragon King of the East Sea was a little girl. How could a man be sitting on the dragon throne? Jiang Changkong lifted his eyelids and said plainly, I'm the acting Dragon King of the East Sea, Jiang Changkong. The Dragon King is in seclusion, so I'll be the one to entertain you. Rage flashed in the Azure Dragon King's eyes, but he did not erupt. He performed a cupped fist salute and said, I will have to trouble the acting Dragon King. Sit. Jiang Changkong waved his hand and said casually. The Azure Dragon King grew increasingly furious, but he still endured. His strength was not much different from the flood serpent's. If the other party could deal with the flood serpent, the other party could also deal with him. Before he had a clear understanding of the situation, he did not dare to turn hostile. Jiang Changkong propped his head on his hand and continued to pretend to sleep, ignoring the Azure Dragon King. This prince wants to see what confidence you have. The Azure Dragon King snorted in his heart and sat down. There were a total of 6 seats, corresponding to the 6 demon kings. The Dragon Carp King is here. Another loud shout was heard, and a fatty walked in. This prince congratulates the Dragon King for a long life and the prosperity of the East Sea. Sit, Jiang Changkong said plainly. The Dragon Carp King narrowed his eyes, looked at the Azure Dragon King, and sat down. One by one, the demon kings arrived. Soon, all 6 demon kings were present. Among the 6, only the Dragon Turtle King brought a congratulatory gift, an inferior second-grade immortal artifact, the glazed crown. Begin the feast. Jiang Chongkong ordered plainly. Acting Dragon King, are you not sitting with us? The Black Carp King asked. This prince is hospitable. Guests please enjoy first, Jiang Chongkong said plainly. Soon, 2 early-stage martial immortal lobster and crab, their bodies trembling, presented the dishes. Acting Dragon King. The 6 Demon Kings' expressions changed, and they almost shouted through gritted teeth. What dishes are these? They are all from the same race. Acting Dragon King, isn't this too much? The Azure Dragon King gritted his teeth and said, We sincerely congratulate the Dragon King on his return. What do you mean by treating us with these dishes? Acting Dragon King, is this your idea or the Dragon King's? The Dragon Turtle King had a goatee. He looked at Jiang Chongkong with a hint of coldness. This prince is sincere in presenting a second-grade immortal artifact. The other 4 Demon Kings also spoke. Their immortal might filled the Dragon Palace. The atmosphere was tense, and a battle was on the verge of breaking out. Jiang Chongkong sat up straight and looked outside. Who invited that human immortal? The pupils of the 6 Demon Kings contracted. He actually discovered it. A human immortal, and a peak early-stage human immortal at that. They paid a huge price to invite that human immortal to the East Sea Dragon Palace this time. Is this Acting Dragon King also a human immortal? Acting Dragon King has good eyesight. A peak martial immortal can actually discover me. A cold laugh was heard. A figure covered in golden scales appeared in the East Sea Dragon Palace. Early-stage human immortal. Are you interested in staying as a slave? Jiang Chongkong looked at the figure indifferently. The 6 Demon Kings' expressions changed. Letting a human immortal stay as a slave? If they did not hear wrongly, this Acting Dragon King should only be a peak martial immortal. Little guy, it seems like you are even more insensible than the young Dragon King. The human immortal harumphed. A golden saber appeared in his hand. Saber intent flowed and spread out. The 6 Demon Kings felt a sharp pain. This saber could easily cut through their defenses. Jiang Chongkong did not feel anything. His expression was still indifferent. I'll give you another chance. Stay and be a slave. Go and die. The human immortal roared. The entire East Sea Dragon Palace shook. The saber slashed down. The East Sea Dragon Palace was as weak as tofu. The East Sea Dragon Palace was only made of first-grade materials. It could not defend against a second-grade immortal artifact. Seeing this, the 6 Demon Kings retreated to avoid being affected. Jiang Chongkong gently raised his hand and pointed a finger at the long saber. Clang! The finger and the tip of the saber clashed. A crisp sound could be heard. However, Jiang Chongkong did not feel any pain. Boom! A powerful force shot out from his fingertips, and the human celestial realm cultivator was sent flying at a speed faster than when he came. The saber flew out of his hand and stabbed into the ground of the Dragon Palace. Golden blood splattered, and there was a finger-sized hole in his body. Jiang Chongkong's finger pierced through his body. Human immortal? That's all. Jiang Chongkong took a step forward and came before the human immortal. He grabbed the human immortal's neck like a dead dog. 6 Demon Kings, take your seat. Jiang Chongkong sat back on the dragon throne. He stepped on the human immortal and continued to pretend to sleep. The human immortal was heavily injured. He wanted to struggle, but he was suppressed by the chaotic divine power. The 6 Demon Kings trembled. They were no longer angry and arrogant. A human immortal was suppressed so easily. From the start to the end, he only used one finger. The 6 Demon Kings sat back down. Their bodies were still trembling. Why? The dishes of the Dragon Palace are not to your taste? Jiang Chongkong's voice sounded. It was different from the indifference before. There was an additional tinge of coldness. Chapter 478. The 6 monster monarchs didn't hesitate and snatched the food on the table. The human immortal was still under Jiang Changkong's feet. The 6 peak martial immortals were scared out of their wit. The chaotic divine power entered the human immortal's body and information entered his mind. The human immortal was a rogue monster monarch in the East Sea. He didn't have his own faction, and he just wandered around. He met the Azure Dragon Monster King when he was in seclusion nearby. He was only helping out because of the Azure Dragon Demon King. The Azure Dragon Monster King was a member of the East Sea Monster Alliance. The East Sea Monster Alliance was an alliance formed by the Sky Immortals and Great Demons of the East Sea. Their goal was to fight against the immortals and gods on the land, and even snatch the land's resources. Although the human immortal was strong, he didn't have a good reputation and many monster monarchs didn't like him. The Monster Alliance also rejected him. This time, the Azure Dragon Monster King promised to help him join the Monster Alliance. The East Sea Monster Alliance occupied almost all the resources in the East Sea. There were a lot of human immortals and monster monarchs, but there were only a few sky immortals. There were no immortals. The human immortal didn't know if there were immortals in the East Sea. Jiang Changkong frowned. The Monster Alliance wasn't a secret. Probably only the Dragon King didn't know about it. Jiang Changkong looked at the 6 monster monarchs who were still stuffing food into their mouth. "All right, come over and talk," Jiang Changkong said calmly. The 6 monster monarchs quickly left the table and stood obediently below. "Who asked him to come?" Jiang Changkong said expressionlessly. "No, it wasn't me," the 6 monster monarchs said at the same time. The human immortal struggled violently, but the chaotic divine power was too strong. He couldn't open his mouth. Jiang Changkong loosened his chaotic divine power. The human immortal quickly said, It's the Azure Dragon Monster King." "Nonsense. Why would I let you cause trouble in the Dragon Palace?" The Azure Dragon Monster King said righteously. "I'm loyal to the East Sea Dragon Palace. I've been waiting for the Dragon King to return." Jiang Changkong looked at the human immortal demon king mockingly, his eyes cold. "Acting Dragon King, you have to believe me. The Azure Dragon Demon King really invited me here. He said he could help me join the East Sea Demon League," shouted the human immortal demon king. The East Sea Demon Alliance. The other 5 monster monarchs looked at Azure Dragon in surprise. They didn't join the Demon League, not because they didn't want to, but because the Demon League looked down on them. The Azure Dragon Demon King's expression changed slightly. He quickly said, "Acting Dragon King, I'm willing to act as a go-between for you and allow you to enter the Demon League." Jiang Changkong flicked his finger, and a stream of chaos divine energy flew out. It split into 6 streams and entered the bodies of the 6 demon kings. Searching his soul, Zhang Xian obtained more information. Behind the Azure Dragon Demon King stood a late-stage human immortal, a member of the Demon League. The other demon kings could only be considered ordinary demon kings. There was nothing special about them. The Azure Dragon Demon King's territory actually had an immortal stone vein. Although it wasn't much, it could still produce about 100 pieces every year. He used the immortal stones to pay his respects to the late-stage human immortal demon king before joining the Demon League. Late-stage human immortal. "Interesting," said Jiang Changkong lightly. The Azure Dragon Demon King's expression changed. "You bang." Just as he opened his mouth, his body fell straight to the ground, lifeless. The expressions of the other 5 monster kings changed as they looked at him in shock. Killing an early-stage human immortal with a single finger was enough to challenge a late-stage human immortal. However, the other party had friends. This acting Dragon King didn't even care about the Demon League? "Your dragons?" Jiang Changkong looked at the 5 demon kings. The 5 demon kings trembled. The dragon turtle was the first to speak. "I'm just a turtle, not a dragon turtle. It's just a random name. Yes, I'm just a silver carp. It's just a random name." I'm just, bang bang, a few more sounds were heard. Only the Sea Turtle Demon King was left of the 6 Demon Kings. Acting Dragon King. The Sea Turtle Demon King broke out in cold sweat. This acting Dragon King was too ruthless. 6 Demon Kings were gone just like that. The Dragon Palace still lacks a Prime Minister Turtle, said Jiang Chongkong lightly. Yes, I will definitely do my best for the East Sea Dragon Palace. The Sea Turtle hurriedly bowed. Prime Minister Turtle greets the acting Dragon King. Dispense with the formalities. Send me all the resources from their territories. Jiang Chongkong said lightly. Don't even think about running. I just need a thought and you'll die. Don't worry, acting Dragon King. Prime Minister Turtle will not let you down. Prime Minister Turtle bowed respectfully and turned to leave. Acting Dragon King, I'm willing to work for the Dragon Palace and share its burdens. The human immortal old demon hurriedly cried out, fearing that Jiang Chongkong would kill him. Jiang Chongkong looked at the old demon. The human immortal old demon's inner core should have 1,000 essences, energy, and spirit. If he was kept alive, he would be a good fighting force for the Dragon Palace. The chaos power entered the old demon's body. Jiang Chongkong said lightly, I'll allow you to live for a few more days. Thank you, acting Dragon King. Thank you, acting Dragon King. The human immortal old demon thanked him profusely. Jiang Chongkong waved his hand and gestured for him to dispense with the formalities. The human immortal old demon got up and kept the treasure saber. He presented it respectfully. Acting Dragon King, I'm willing to offer this immortal artifact. Jiang Chongkong said indifferently, Keep it. I have no use for it. Give me the immortal stones you've accumulated over the years. He didn't have a good weapon now, so he didn't want it. His Chaos Dao body combined with the First Revolution mystic art was stronger than any immortal artifact of the same grade. Yes. The human immortal old demon quickly took out the immortal stones he had accumulated from his space equipment. There weren't many, just 300. There were only 18 low-grade immortal stones, 200 mid-grade immortal stones, 53 high-grade immortal stones, 29 top-grade immortal stones. Total essence, energy, and spirit, 85500. A human immortal old demon was really poor. I hope this king didn't leave behind a piece of trash. Jiang Chongkong kept the immortal stones and said coldly. The worldly immortal shivered and quickly said, Don't worry, acting Dragon King. I swear to be loyal to the East Sea Dragon Palace. Go and help Prime Minister Turtle, ordered Jiang Chongkong. Jiang Chongkong ordered to inform the human immortal old monster about the celestial stone mine and have him check it out. With the presence of the chaos divine power, it was as if he was here personally. The late human immortal demon king would soon find out about the Azure Dragon Demon King's death. It was not appropriate for him to attack rashly. If he was thought to be at war with the Demon League, he would be in big trouble. He didn't know what his limit was, but he didn't think he could defeat the East Sea Monster Alliance. However, things would be different if the East Ocean Dragon Clan came to them. After all, the East Ocean Dragon Clan was the orthodox clan. No matter how weak he was still a member of the Heavenly Court. If he dared to provoke them, he had a reason to kill him. He hoped that a late human immortal wasn't as strong as he had imagined. Jiang Chongkong pondered for a moment, thinking about what to do next. He had to think of a way to get more essence, chi, and spirit and raise it as soon as possible. Acting Dragon King, I have something to report. The divine lobster rushed in and knelt on the ground. What's the matter? Asked Jiang Chongkong. Acting Dragon King, I found a cave in the past few days, but I don't know where it leads to. The divine lobster quickly replied, It's not far from the Dragon Palace. Bring me there to have a look. Jiang Chongkong walked over. This was the Serpent's Palace, so there was no cave in the Soul Search. Could it be that it had never appeared? Could it stop a peak martial immortal from prying? Chapter 479. It was a pitch-black, oval-shaped hole. It was pitch black inside. Even with Jiang Changkong's eyesight, he could not see what was inside. The hole was very small, about the size of a basketball. For a cultivator, it was not small. Jiang Changkong shrunk his body and instructed, "Guard the dragon palace well and wait for this king to come out." "Yes," the near-divine lobster said respectfully. There were 2 early-stage martial immortals beside him. Jiang Changkong entered the dark hole. It was still seawater below. However, because it was too dark, the water also looked very dark. His chaotic divine power spread out, and everything appeared in his mind. There was no sign of life. Jiang Changkong continued to dive. "Oh? This thing." Jiang Changkong suddenly increased his speed. At the bottom was a layer of darkness. After hesitating for a moment, Jiang Changkong tore the darkness apart. Golden light illuminated the darkness. Immortal stone powder. This thing was the same as the golden substance that sealed the mortal world's gate of immortality. It was immortal stone powder. Essence, energy, and spirit, 1.05 million. Unable to withdraw. 1.05 million. He still had some left after becoming a human immortal. What were the ancient era's immortals doing? What was sealed here? Could it be that it was also a mortal world? As he pondered, Jiang Changkong's chaotic divine power descended and grabbed the golden substance. After collecting the immortal stone powder, he would know what was inside. Jiang Changkong's chaotic divine power was very strong. He collected all the powder in a few breaths' time. A huge blue stone door appeared in Jiang Changkong's line of sight. There was a stone box in front of the door. Jiang Changkong carefully stepped forward and picked up the stone box. Swish! The sound of something tearing through the air was heard. An overwhelming sense of danger assaulted him. The chaotic divine power in Jiang Changkong's body surged out. Bang! A resplendent sword light tore apart his chaotic divine power. It even tore apart his Dao body. A bone-deep sword wound appeared. Gray blood flowed out. His chaotic divine power surged and restored his Dao body. The blood that spilled out also flew back. I don't even know where that power came from. Jiang Changkong looked at the green stone door, then at the stone box in his hand, and flew away. There was something strange about this place. After he had digested his harvest and reached the human immortal stage, he would return. Putting away the stone box, Jiang Changkong flew out of the cave. His chaos divine power surged, and the soil at the entrance of the cave forcefully closed up. Jiang Changkong then used his chaos divine power to seal off the area. Only then did he say, "It's fine now. Don't come here again." "Yes, acting Dragon King," the divine lobster replied respectfully. "By the way, what's your name? What is Little Dragon King called?" Only then did Jiang Changkong remember that he still didn't know the name of the divine lobster. Replying to Dragon King, "My name is Prawn Dahai. Dragon King's name is Ao Ling, which was given by my father." Prawn replied respectfully, "Your father's naming standards are really bad. Cultivate well and become an immortal soon." Jiang Changkong encouraged him and went back to the East Ocean Dragon Palace. Sitting on the dragon throne, Jiang Changkong wasn't in a hurry to study the stone box. Instead, he started to process the celestial stones and powder. Now that he was a peak martial immortal, it was much faster for him to process the celestial stones and powder. This time, it only took him 3 days to get rid of half of it. The immortal stones in his hands were also cleaned up. Jiang Changkong closed the palace and got ready to level up. Buzz! Just as he closed the palace, a powerful aura swept over. "It's earlier than I thought." Jiang Changkong waved his hand and the dragon palace opened. He stepped out of the palace. 2 human immortal realm monsters rushed towards the East Ocean Dragon Palace. They were both in human form. Jiang Changkong stepped out and blocked the 2 of them. "What are you doing here? Who are you? Where is the Dragon King of the East Ocean?" The person who spoke was a middle-stage human immortal with a head of black hair and a powerful aura. The other person was a middle-aged man with a muscular body. He looked at Jiang Changkong coldly. The Dragon King is in seclusion. As the acting Dragon King, what am I doing here? Jiang Changkong said coldly. You are the acting Dragon King? You killed the Azure Dragon Monster King? The muscular man looked at him coldly. Jiang Changkong's expression was indifferent. I killed an Azure Carp. I can ignore the life and death of the Azure Dragon Monster King. I just want a drop of the Dragon King's blood essence and 100 celestial stones every year. A hint of greed flashed in the middle-aged man's eyes. Almost everyone in the Ocean Clan wanted the blood essence of a true dragon. Even if the Dragon King was only an early-stage martial immortal, if not for the Heavenly Court, the Ocean Clan would have eaten the Dragon King. Even if they didn't kill him, they would keep him alive and take his blood essence. Hearing that, Jiang Changkong's expression turned cold. I'll give you a chance to reorganize your words. Refusing a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. Capture him, the middle-aged man shouted coldly. With that order, the young man beside him roared and turned into a giant toad, pouncing towards Jiang Changkong. His tongue was like a sharp blade, slashing towards Jiang Changkong. At the same time, wisps of black fog were emitting a strong poisonous aura. Jiang Changkong frowned. His chaotic divine power and chaotic Tao body trembled at the same time. The chaotic fist emitted a suppressive effect. The expression of the middle-aged human immortal toad changed. He immediately unleashed his immortal power to the maximum. The middle-aged man frowned. He was also suppressed, but he was very confident in the toad's strength. A peak martial immortal was not someone that a peak martial immortal could take on. Boom! The chaotic divine power landed and dispersed the poisonous aura. The toad's body stiffened and stood there in a daze. How did you, before the middle-aged monster king could finish his words, the toad's body shattered like a mirror. Its life aura had disappeared. An instant kill with a single punch. What treasure do you have? The middle-aged man narrowed his eyes. A peak martial immortal was able to instantly kill a mid-stage human immortal? Jiang Changkong did not say anything. He simply threw a punch at the middle-aged monster king. You're courting death. The monster king was startled and furious. He transformed into a giant shark with glistening teeth. A blue pearl rose into the sky and smashed towards Jiang Changkong. Rumble! The seawater surged violently, shaking heaven and earth. Jiang Changkong felt a trace of pressure, but only a trace. Boom! Crack! The fist collided with the pearl. Jiang Changkong's body trembled slightly. Cracks appeared on the pearl. Impossible! How could your fist destroy a top rank 2 immortal artifact? The Shark Monster King was astonished. That pearl was a top rank 2 immortal artifact. With him controlling it, he would be able to take on peak human immortals without immortal artifact. In order to destroy it, one would need a peak human immortal and a top rank 2 immortal artifact. The person before him was a peak martial immortal, comparable to a peak human immortal? Peak human immortal? Jiang Changkong muttered. He took a step forward, and a world of chaos appeared behind him. Misty chaotic power surged from the boundless seawater. It rushed to the surface of the sea. Streams of chaotic divine power and azure light circulated on the surface of Jiang Changkong's body. The powerful chaotic divine power enveloped a radius of several thousand meters. The berserk chaotic divine power instantly killed some of the nearby sea creatures. The toad's corpse rapidly disintegrated under the chaotic divine power. Even its inner core was turned into essence. 2200. This is? Why didn't I see the corpse's essence earlier? Jiang Changkong was confused. He decided to take this shark and study it. Jiang Changkong looked at the shark. Under the suppression of the chaotic divine power, the Shark Monster King's body slowly sank. Roar! The Shark Monster King roared. The cracked blue pearl exploded and unleashed a powerful immortal might. Chapter 480. The explosion of the top-notch second-grade immortal artifact had temporarily blocked the Chaos Dao might. The Shark Demon Monarch turned and fled. He didn't dare to fight the acting Dragon King again. It was too terrifying. Even though he was clearly a peak martial immortal, he was even more frightening than a peak human immortal. However, it was obvious that he could not escape. Jiang Chongkong took a step forward and caught up to the Monster King. His divine might enveloped the Monster King, and his Chaos Divine Power suppressed the Monster King. Boom! The Chaos Divine Power directly tore apart the Shark Demon Monarch. I'm a member of the Demon League, you. Primal Chaos Divine Energy poured in and directly searched his soul. Jiang Chongkong didn't care about the Demon Alliance. It's just a Demon League with only celestial immortals. My current strength has already surpassed what a human immortal should have, right? As long as he became a human immortal, he wouldn't need to care about the trash of the Monster Alliance. There was also a small portion that cultivated immortal Dao cultivation methods of a slightly higher level, and their battle prowess was also greater. This Shark Demon King could only be considered one of the weakest human immortals. He barely had a top-notch second-grade treasure, which was why he had a good position in the Demon League. As for the cultivation technique, it was only of the lower second grade. As for the ancestral dragon scripture, although it was incomplete, these demon kings were not smart enough to learn it. After searching their souls, Jiang Chongkong also found their space equipment. Jiang Chongkong discovered that the reason why there was more essence, energy, and spirit. This was because the remnant of his divine soul had fused with his body under the influence of the Chaos Divine Power. And with the Chaos Divine Power wreaking havoc, all of this was taken care of and could be directly extracted. Back then, he had directly killed it without paying attention to this point, which was why the corpse had no essence, energy, or spirit. Late human immortal demon king, essence, chi and spirit, 3,300. Jiang Chongkong directly broke it down and extracted its essence, chi, and spirit before returning. He did have some resources, but he didn't have many immortal stones. He glanced at them and didn't rush to deal with them. He began to upgrade them. Although the commotion just now was a little big, the shrimp soldiers and crab generals were relieved to see that they had returned on behalf of the Dragon King. Closing the palace, Jiang Chongkong first perfected his postnatal chaotic Dao body before advancing to the human immortal stage. The chaos stars in his body trembled, and his chaos divine power surged. The acquired chaotic Daoist body also shone with a wisp of green light. His power and divine power had all increased. Jiang Chongkong felt that there was still some qi in his body. It should be the impure qi of the mortal world. As he grew stronger, the turbid air would disappear, cut off from the mortal world, and completely assimilate into the immortal world. Only like this would it be easier to comprehend the laws. Jiang Chongkong stabilized his cultivation. This transformation only took 2 days. Just as he expected, his cultivation had reached the second grade. The name of the Dao body had not changed, and it was still the same as before. Jiang Chongkong. Human immortal, human god, early stage second revolution of mysterious art, basic. 1/16,000 acquired chaotic Daoist body, basic. 1/16,000 essence, chi and spirit. 900 After the upgrade, Jiang Chongkong continued to process the celestial stone powder. If he used his full strength, he would be able to deal with it quickly, but that would cause too much of a commotion. It wasn't slow now. Jiang Chongkong estimated that he would be able to finish it in a day. After dealing with the essence, chi and spirit, Prime Minister Turtle and the human immortal old demon returned. Acting Dragon King, the territory has been conquered. These are the resources. Jiang Chongkong glanced at the resources and slimmed down. A bunch of poor bastards. After he improved, the first-grade celestial stones had shrunk. There were a total of 600 first-grade celestial stones, not even 10,000 celestial stones. The Shark Demon King and Toad's celestial stones added up to 11,000. If not for that cave and the ancient immortal god's legacy, he didn't know how long he would have to wait to become a human immortal. All of you may leave. Jiang Chongkong waved his hand and let them leave. After dealing with the Shark Demon King and Toad's celestial stones, he planned to leave the rest for Ao Qingyu and Little Dragon King. As he continued to improve, his celestial stones shrunk. Originally, he had 500,000 celestial stones, but now, he was only left with 55,000. Including the 11,000 he had just obtained, it was only 75,900. His celestial stones increased as much as he could in one go. It wasn't much. Jiang Chongkong directly broke through the entry stage and entered the initial success realm. The turbid qi in his body decreased slightly. He should be able to clear it when he reached the limits of the human immortal realm. Jiang Chongkong, mid-stage human immortal, human god, second transformation mystic art, initial success, 1/80, 000 postnatal chaotic Dao body, initial success, 1/80, 000 essence, spirit, 43900. With his current strength, he didn't care about ordinary heaven immortals. Only those heaven immortals with decent cultivation techniques were qualified to be his opponent. Taking out the stone box, Jiang Chongkong's eyes shot out chaotic divine light. Crack! The stone box slowly opened and a cold light shot over. This time, Jiang Chongkong was prepared and hurriedly dodged. He was still a step too late and a small hole was pierced through his body. Chaotic divine power quickly circulated and healed his injuries. The ancient immortals really have good means. After so many years, the means left behind are still so powerful. Jiang Chongkong's heart skipped a beat. He had already reached the mid-stage human immortal realm. With his chaotic Dao body, almost no one in the human immortal realm could break through him. Ordinary heaven immortals couldn't either. Unexpectedly, he couldn't even block this cold light. Suppressing his thoughts, Jiang Chongkong looked inside the stone box. A palm-sized golden scale contained a faint pressure. Jiang Chongkong picked up the scale and a faint golden light spread out. Brother Chongkong. The East Sea Little Dragon King's voice sounded. Jiang Chongkong kept the scale and opened the palace. The Little Dragon King, Ao Ling, and Ao Qingyu appeared outside. You guys are out of seclusion? Jiang Chongkong said in surprise. Let's talk inside. Ao Qingyu gave him a look and set up a barrier with a wave of her hand. Her exquisite face had a hint of seriousness. Did you feel a special pressure just now? Jiang Chongkong's heart stirred. Yes, did you feel it too? That was dragon might, true dragon might. Although it was very faint, it was pure. Ao Qingyu said solemnly, did you notice any traces of other true dragons nearby? True dragon might? Jiang Chongkong set up a barrier with the power of chaos and took out the stone box. Take a look at this. Dragon scale, true dragon scale. Ao Qingyu and Ao Ling exclaimed at the same time. With the chaotic divine power barrier, their voices couldn't be transmitted out and couldn't be heard outside. He was a little rash just now. He opened it directly without leaving anything behind. Jiang Chongkong warned himself. A hole appeared in the territory earlier. After telling them everything, Ao Qingyu and Ao Ling looked at each other with golden light in their eyes. It might have been left behind by the ancient dragon race, Ao Qingyu guessed. Brother Chongkong, can you give me the dragon scale? Ao Ling stared at the dragon scale. Jiang Chongkong handed the dragon scale to her. Take it. I hope it will be useful to you. Ao Ling took the dragon scale. The dragon scale glowed with golden light and formed a map in the air. This is a map of the East Sea. Ao Ling blinked and said. Although the territory was very small in the past, she had investigated the East Sea from the Heavenly Court's information. This map was a part of the East Sea. It was not complete. Maybe we should go inside and take a look, Ao Qingyu said solemnly. Sure, I will protect you. Jiang Chongkong nodded and led them out of the palace toward the sealed hole. He withdrew his chaotic divine power and the hole appeared. The three shrank and entered the dark space. They arrived at the green stone door with ease. After taking out the dragon's scale, there was no sense of danger. Jiang Chongkong heaved a sigh of relief. Ao Ling released her dragon might, and the green stone door shook. Chapter 481. Ao Ling turned into a small golden dragon, and the true dragon's scale floated above her head. Rumble! The stone door shook violently and opened slowly. Clearly, this was set up by the ancient dragon race and posed no danger to Ao Ling. This place might have appeared because it sensed the arrival of the Dragon King, Ao Qingyu guessed. Jiang Chongkong nodded. It seemed like Ao Ling had many fortuitous encounters. The stone door finally opened and there was a vast space within. Under Ao Ling's lead, Jiang Chongkong and Ao Qingyu successfully entered. Dragon-shaped stone sculptures were placed inside. Jiang Chongkong looked at the stone sculptures. These stone sculptures didn't seem to be ordinary objects. The passage of time didn't leave any traces on them. At the center of the space was a 3-foot square pool filled with golden liquid. True dragon pool. Ao Qingyu's eyes shone brightly. A true dragon actually left this treasure behind. How unexpected. Holy item of the dragon race. Ao Ling excitedly flew above the pond and did a somersault in excitement. What treasure is this? Jiang Chongkong asked curiously. Holy item of the dragon race? How could it be called a holy item when it had no essence at all? This is a divine pool that can transform into a true dragon. Together with the ancestral Dragon Sutra, any living being can transform into a pure true dragon. If one cultivates in the true dragon pool, the ancestral Dragon Sutra can improve rapidly. Even without cultivating the ancestral Dragon Sutra, one's talent can still increase. Ao Qingyu said excitedly. Any living being could transform into a true dragon. The true dragon would not be a mixed dragon with a trace of the dragon race bloodline or a serpent dragon. Jiang Chongkong's eyes flickered. The price must be huge, right? He did not believe that there was no price to pay for this treasure. True dragons were born to be close to gods. As long as they were well developed, they could easily become immortals. Transforming into such a living being would definitely require a huge price. Of course, the golden liquid in the true dragon pool can only support 2 living beings to transform into dragons. In order to refine this golden liquid, one needs the blood essence of a true dragon to refine billions of immortals and obtain their essence. Ao Qingyu explained. Jiang Chongkong. Billions of immortals? True dragon blood essence? It could transform into 2 true dragons? This is completely useless, okay? Dragon King, you can cultivate here. I'll protect you outside, Ao Qingyu said hurriedly. Ao Ling shook her head. The true dragon race is extremely talented. I'm too weak to unleash the might of a true dragon. This place can transform 2 true dragons. The 13 Sea Kings and Big Brother Chongkong are just right for you. Ao Qingyu pondered for a moment before saying, then let Chongkong transform first, and then let the Dragon King cultivate. I'll pass. Ao Ling said firmly, 13 Sea Kings, the true dragon pool can still increase one's talent. You only stayed for a month and a half, so your talent is slightly lacking. Big Brother Chongkong's talent, alright, 2 hours, although I don't understand why you're so powerful. Jiang Chongkong smiled and looked at Ao Qingyu. Since the Dragon King has said so, you don't have to stand on ceremony. Give me a demonstration first. I'll let you and the Dragon King. The Dragon King can use this place to increase his strength. Ao Qingyu shook her head, still unwilling to enter the true dragon pool. Jiang Chongkong sighed softly and suddenly pointed at the true dragon pool. Look, what's that? Ao Qingyu bent over and looked. What's that? Thump. Jiang Chongkong pushed her in and sealed the true dragon pool with his chaotic divine power. Just focus on transforming. Ao Qingyu. Ao Ling blinked and flew to Jiang Chongkong's side. Big brother Chongkong, go in too. I'll teach you from above. Can the two of us go together? Jiang Chongkong raised his eyebrows. Of course. The power in the true dragon pool is enough for two people to transform into dragons. Ao Ling nodded. Then you go in too. Jiang Chongkong threw Ao Ling in as well. Cultivate well. Ao Ling, Jiang Chongkong, did not need the dragon transformation pool. Talent? Did he need it? His own ability to evolve was his greatest talent. Rumble. They began to transform. The surrounding stone dragons shook and shone with golden light. Jiang Chongkong sensed a dangerous aura. He turned into light and left. Fine, I won't provoke you. There was no point in staying here for the fortuitous encounter of the dragon race. It was better to go out and guard the dragon palace. He believed that with the dragon race's legacy, no one could break in and destroy it. Moreover, he had his chaotic divine power to protect it. He walked out of the cave and sealed the place again. Jiang Chongkong returned to the dragon palace and sat on the throne. Little Gold, said Jiang Chongkong lightly. Acting Dragon King, I have a name, Jin Qihai, said the human immortal old demon carefully. Jiang Chongkong glanced at him and instructed, go and guard the dragon palace. Report immediately if anything happens. Yes, Acting Dragon King, said Jin Qihai respectfully. Prime Minister Turtle, called Jiang Chongkong again. Prime Minister Turtle ran in shakily with a turtle shell on his head and said respectfully, Greetings, Acting Dragon King. Recruit shrimp soldiers and crab generals to fill up the dragon palace and guard the territories of the 6 demon kings. Yes, sir. After making the arrangements, Jiang Chongkong closed his eyes. At the same time, in the sky of the celestial world, there were white clouds and divine palaces. In the Lingshao Palace of the Golden Arches, a man in a dragon robe bathed in divine light sat on the throne. A young man in armor knelt on one knee. Greetings, Celestial Darch. There are changes in the East Sea. Take this map and find the Dragon King of the East Sea to complete the map. Follow the map and bring back what I want. This time, I will give you 10 peak human immortal heavenly soldiers. Do not delay and return quickly. After you are done, return these 4 dragon scales to the Dragon King. The celestial Darch waved his hand and a map flew out and landed in the young man's hand. I will definitely complete the mission. The young man took the map and bowed respectfully before leaving the Lingshao Palace of the Golden Arches. After leaving the palace, the young man opened the map. There were 4 dragon scales inside. Red, green, blue, yellow. The Dragon King of the East Sea is still at the Ascension Pond, right? The young man murmured. He could not understand why the celestial Darch would think of her. East Sea, I have waited for so many years. You are finally here, the celestial Darch murmured. Let's see what the primordial dragon tribe left behind. It's time to raise the restrictions and let the Dragon King make a breakthrough. The celestial Darch pointed forward. Something in the air seemed to change. In the true dragon pond of the East Sea, the Dragon King Ao Ling, who had been stagnant, finally made a breakthrough. Mid-stage martial immortal, late-stage martial immortal. His strength was rising rapidly. With the help of the true dragon pond, Ao Qingyu shed her mermaid body and turned into a true dragon. Ao Ling, in the dragon palace, Jiang Chongkong suddenly opened his eyes with a trace of cold light flashing in his eyes. The chaotic divine force he left in the true dragon pond had sensed a special ripple coming from Ao Ling. It was the ripple that allowed Ao Ling to make a breakthrough and improve rapidly. Get Shrimp Dahai to see me, Jiang Chongkong's voice sounded. If he wanted to verify his guess, he had to start with Shrimp Dahai. After all, he was also a member of the Heavenly Court. Soon, Shrimp Dahai arrived and bowed respectfully. Jiang Chongkong sealed the Dragon Palace with his chaotic divine force. What's with your immortal record? Can you let me see it? The immortal record is a mark of the heavenly court, Shrimp Dahai said respectfully. I will show it now. Then, a strand of special aura spread out. That's enough. Don't tell anyone about this. Go back. Jiang Chongkong waved his hand and his face darkened. As expected, the heavenly court did something. However, why did they suddenly relax the restrictions? Chapter 482. Shrimp Dahai's aura was the same as Little Dragon King Ao Ling's. However, Little Dragon King's aura was more unique and stronger. Jiang Chongkong fell into deep thought. Why did the heavenly court do this? To better control the heavenly court? Or was the restriction only applied to the East Ocean? The memories of Shark Great Demon, Jin Chihai, and the other demon kings surfaced in Jiang Chongkong's mind. It had been many years since an immortal appeared in the East Ocean. Even the strongest demons of the Demon Alliance were only late-stage heaven immortals. Shark Demon had seen the immortals of the heavenly court before. Those immortals were high and mighty. The weakest heavenly soldier in the heavenly court was a martial immortal. A human immortal heavenly soldier could be a captain. A heaven immortal heavenly soldier was a heavenly general. But even an early-stage martial immortal heavenly soldier could do whatever he wanted in the East Ocean. Heavenly soldiers were far stronger than most of the demon kings in the East Ocean. The profound cultivation techniques of the East Ocean have probably been plundered long ago. A trace of enlightenment flashed in Jiang Chongkong's heart. The East Ocean could be described as weak now. Only a few heaven immortal demon kings could be considered powerful. Time passed quickly as he was lost in thought. 2 days passed by quickly. The chaotic divine power in Jin Chihai's body vibrated, and a scene appeared in his mind. 11 people. 10 of them wore silver armor. The leader wore golden armor and held a spear. He was an immortal surrounded by immortal energy. Jin Chihai knelt on the ground respectfully and said carefully, I, Jin Chihai, greet the heavenly soldiers. Get up. I was ordered to find the Dragon King of the East Ocean. Get out of the way. The young man waved his hand. Lord, I am a member of the East Ocean Dragon Palace. I was ordered by the acting Dragon King to guard this place, Jin Chihai explained. East Ocean Dragon Palace? Acting Dragon King? The 11 were stunned. The young man's eyes lit up. When did the East Ocean Dragon Palace have a acting Dragon King? Only recently. The Dragon King went into seclusion and handed the Dragon Palace to the acting Dragon King, Jin Chihai said respectfully. The soldiers looked at each other. The young man looked interested. So, the East Ocean Dragon Palace is no longer in the Ascension Pool? Yes, the East Ocean Dragon Palace has been moved out, Jin Chihai said. Lead the way. I'm going to see the Dragon King. The young general said. His golden armor flickered with immortal light. The other 10 silver-armored heavenly soldiers hurriedly followed. They were all curious when the East Ocean Dragon Palace had a substitute Dragon King. In the past, the East Sea Dragon Palace was weak and could be bullied by anyone. Now, they had defeated the nearby demon kings and even subdued a human immortal demon. They didn't care. Jin Dragon Emperor's cultivation level. The weakest among them was a peak worldly immortal, while the strongest youth leader was a heavenly immortal expert. In the East Ocean Dragon Palace, Jiang Chongkong ordered the prawn soldiers and crab generals to do their jobs well while he stepped out of the Dragon Palace. A mid-stage heavenly immortal expert could exert quite a bit of pressure through his chaos divine energy. He ignored the other soldiers. He could kill a peak human immortal with a flick of his finger. He didn't welcome them in person. The Dragon Palace was fragile. The Dragon King and Ao Qingyu were in seclusion, and they might be alerted. He just needed to stop them and solve the problem, just like how he dealt with the Shark Demon King. The group was not weak. The Heaven Immortal General led them so fast that they couldn't even see their shadows. An hour later, a figure blocked the way. The soldiers stopped at the same time. The figure with his hands behind his back had a trace of chaotic divine power. The faint chaotic divine power made the seawater still. The 10 human immortal heavenly soldiers felt a strong pressure at the same time, and their bodies sank a little. The heaven immortal general asked, "Who are you? Since when did the East Ocean have such an overlord? He should be able to sweep the East Ocean with his strength." But the person in front of him gave him a lot of pressure. Jin Chihai said respectfully, "Acting Dragon King, they are the heavenly soldiers of the heavenly courts. Please retract your divine power." "You are the Acting Dragon King?" The young general was surprised. The person in front of him was the Acting Dragon King of the East Ocean. "Heavenly courts? Why are you here?" Jiang Chongkong didn't retract his divine might as he asked indifferently. Although being the leader of the heavenly generals gave him a lot of pressure, he also gave the other party a lot of pressure. It was hard to tell who would win if they really fought. "How can you say that?" The 10 silver-armored heavenly soldiers were angry. They were high and mighty everywhere they went. "Shut up!" the young general yelled and cupped his hands. "Please forgive me on behalf of the Dragon King. I have a wild personality. I didn't teach them well. Please don't blame me." The 10 heavenly soldiers froze and immediately shut up. They had seen the general talk to someone like that before. That person was a peak heaven immortal demon, and he was extremely powerful. The person in front of them was a peak heaven immortal demon? Didn't they say that the East Ocean was full of trash? "It's fine." Jiang Chongkong waved his hand. Although he didn't have a good impression of the heavenly courts, he didn't have much of a grudge, except for the little Dragon King's immortal record. Even if he wanted to start a war with the heavenly courts, it wasn't the time. The heavenly general heaved a sigh of relief and said again, "I am here on the celestial Thearcha's decree to find the East Ocean Dragon King. I need the Dragon King's help. The Dragon King is in seclusion. We can talk after he comes out," Jiang Chongkong said indifferently. "Acting Dragon King, the celestial Thearcha's decree cannot be violated." The heavenly general's expression darkened. He had already given enough face. "The Dragon King is in seclusion and cannot be disturbed," Jiang Chongkong said indifferently. "How dare you? Can you bear the responsibility for delaying the celestial Thearcha's matters?" The 10 silver-armored heavenly soldiers were furious. Jiang Chongkong did not say a word and stood in front of him. The heavenly general frowned and gripped his golden spear tightly. "The Acting Dragon King is the strongest in the East Ocean Dragon Palace now, right? What do you want?" Jiang Chongkong said calmly. "Will I be able to invite the Dragon King out of seclusion if I defeat the Acting Dragon King?" The heavenly general waved his spear, and the surrounding seawater split apart. Jiang Chongkong opened and closed his eyes. Chaos stars appeared in his eyes. "I can give it a try. All of you wait for the battle on the surface. Don't act rashly," the heavenly general said and rushed to the surface of the sea first. Jiang Chongkong took a step and stepped out of the sea. Bright light appeared and the sun hung high in the sky. The surface of the sea was turbulent. The heavenly general flew into the sky and pointed his spear at Jiang Chongkong. "Acting Dragon King, please." The 10 silver-armored heavenly soldiers and Jin Chihai also floated to the surface of the sea to watch the battle. Jiang Chongkong stepped into the sky. Chaos divine power surged into the sky, and a unique divine might enveloped a radius of thousands of meters. "Chaos body? No wonder he has such strength." The heavenly general was slightly surprised. His spear emitted golden light and charged at Jiang Chongkong. "Indeed, he knows about the chaos body," Jiang Chongkong said silently in his heart. Chaos divine power filled his palm, and he punched the golden spear. Clang! The fist landed and divine power collided. Golden light and gray light surged into the sky. The aftermath raged and the seawater below soared into the sky. The heavenly soldiers and Jin Chihai hurriedly retreated. The two figures in the sky were evenly matched in their first exchange and were forced back at the same time. Jiang Chongkong was slightly surprised, but the Heavenly General was even more shocked. The acting Dragon King was clearly only a mid-stage human immortal, but his strength was actually stronger than he had imagined. Chapter 483. Clanging sounds could be heard as the golden spear continued to fall, clashing with the fists. Third-grade immortal artifacts were powerful, but they could not break the chaotic Tao body. Jiang Chongkong circulated his chaotic divine power and felt a slight pain when the spear fell. With a long roar, the Heavenly General's body emitted an extreme golden light and the immortal artifact in his hand shone brightly. A unique aura permeated the surroundings, carrying a faint suppressive force. Jiang Chongkong's expression froze. Chaotic divine power surged and his chaotic Tao body trembled. White Cloud Tao suppress. 100% divine power, 100% power. Boom. There was a deafening explosion. Boundless power surged within a radius of 10,000 meters. The sea surged and the 11 human immortals retreated frantically. Golden blood splattered and the golden spear buzzed. Cracks appeared on it. There was a wound on the back of Jiang Chongkong's hand. The violent power also injured his body and blood seeped from the corner of his mouth. Wiping the gray blood, Jiang Chongkong leaped up and punched again. The Heavenly General's spear was like a dragon and spear radiance surged out. Jiang Chongkong's robe was torn, revealing his bronze skin. Wounds appeared one after another, and gray blood dripped from them. At this time, his fist had already landed and his spear blocked in front of him. Clang! As if it had landed on a bell, the divine power shook and the Heavenly General was sent flying. His spear bent and almost broke. With a boom, the Heavenly General fell into the East Sea, stirring up waves. Jiang Chongkong followed closely. He felt a sense of danger and punched behind him. Boom! The spear and fist collided again. The Heavenly General was sent flying and retreated 1,000 meters. Just as Jiang Chongkong was about to attack, the Heavenly General hurriedly raised his palm. Dragon King, please stop. I admit defeat. Then we'll wait for the Dragon King to come out of seclusion. Jiang Chongkong stopped attacking and his injuries healed quickly. The Heavenly General heaved a sigh of relief and did not say anything. He looked at his spear with a pained expression. It was covered in cracks and had almost been smashed into pieces. Although the immortal artifact could heal automatically, too much damage would reduce its quality. There was still some chaos divine power left on the spear. The Heavenly General was too embarrassed to ask Jiang Chongkong to take it back. He planned to slowly remove it himself. I have to go back to the Dragon Palace to hold the fort. Are you interested in visiting the Dragon Palace? Jiang Chongkong asked indifferently. Thank you, Acting Dragon King. We are here to look for you. Thank you. The Heavenly General said. The two walked side by side toward the East Ocean Dragon Palace. The 10 heavenly soldiers and Jin Chihai walked behind. One of them said with a grave expression, "This generation's Dragon King can actually defeat Lord Heavenly General. Lord Heavenly General is a mid-stage sky immortal, and the spear in his hand is a superior grade 3 immortal artifact." Jin Chihai did not dare to interrupt the heavenly soldier's discussion. He was glad that he had surrendered back then. The heavenly immortals and heavenly generals of the heavenly court were no match for him. It was no wonder that he could suppress him with a single finger. In the East Ocean Dragon Palace, Jiang Chongkong sat on the dragon throne and asked Jin Chihai to prepare a banquet for the heavenly soldiers and generals. I didn't expect the East Ocean to have such an expert like the Acting Dragon King. I'm impressed. The heavenly general cupped his fists and said, I, Li Qinghe, was originally a heavenly soldier. Thanks to the heavenly Thearcha's favor, I guarded the southern heaven gate and received the title of heavenly general. It's my honor to meet the Acting Dragon King today. General Li is also an immortal Tao expert. I'm also impressed by your strength. Jiang Chongkong smiled faintly and said, General Li can easily find out about my background. I'm just an ascendant from the mortal world. An ascendant from the mortal world? Li Qinghe was slightly stunned and said, "May I know your name, Acting Dragon King?" Jiang Chongkong said indifferently. It was easy to find out. Shrimp Dehai also entered his and Ao Qingyu's information into the Heavenly Court's files. I, Li Qinghe, am impressed by the Acting Dragon King's talent. After looking through the information, Li Qinghe claimed to have changed. The 10 heavenly soldiers had a hint of respect on their faces. We are impressed by the Acting Dragon King's strength. He had just ascended and reached mid-stage human immortal in just a few months. Moreover, he could even suppress Heavenly General Li Qinghe. It's just that the Dragon King appreciates me and rewarded me with some fortuitous opportunities. Jiang Chongkong smiled and said, "In the battle just now, General, you seem to know about the Chaos Body? I just ascended not long ago and am not too familiar with it." Li Qinghe smiled and nodded. The Chaos Body is a powerful immortal body in the immortal world. With the Chaos Body and a powerful immortal sutra, it's nothing difficult for you to fight above your level. General Li has the Golden Light immortal body, a heavenly soldier interrupted. In the immortal world, it's also a high-grade immortal body. How are the immortal bodies classified? Jiang Chongkong continued to ask. There's no specific classification. It's just because of the attribute of the immortal force that one cultivates, by chance or by awakening an ancient bloodline. Under such circumstances, the Chaos Body is a top-notch immortal body. Li Qinghe smiled and explained, "My Golden Light immortal body is a little lacking." Jiang Chongkong nodded and said, "Doesn't the immortal body represent potential? Although the immortal body is of great help, an immortal's true potential is always comprehension." Li Qinghe said seriously, "If you can't become an immortal with the Chaos Body and cultivate an immortal Tao fruit, you're just an ordinary immortal." In the previous battle, General Li suddenly became stronger and suppressed me. Was it the power of laws? Jiang Chongkong asked humbly. If he hadn't activated White Cloud's suppression ability, he might not have been able to defeat Li Qinghe. Li Qinghe nodded. "I only learned a little. Sorry for embarrassing myself, Acting Dragon King." Jiang Chongkong continued to ask and learned that the Chaos Body was not that rare in the immortal world. Even the Heavenly Court could find a bunch of them, not to mention the Immortal Court and Divine Court. For Heaven Immortals and below, these so-called immortal bodies were almost unrivaled in the same level. They could even fight above their level. Among them, the Chaos Body was the most powerful. However, the Chaos Body that Li Qinghe had seen was basically 2 levels above his level. If it was a level above his level, the difference in cultivation techniques would be huge. Li Qinghe's Immortal Sutra was superior 3rd grade, second only to the top. Therefore, he was very shocked by Jiang Chongkong's strength. At least, it was the strongest Chaos Body he had ever seen. Jiang Chongkong didn't explain much. He had the acquired Chaos Tao Body, not the ordinary acquired Chaos Body. After chatting for a long time, Li Qinghe used the excuse of taking a break to repair the immortal artifact. Jiang Chongkong didn't point it out and arranged a room for him. The Dragon King didn't see him immediately. He wanted to tell the Celestial Dharch about the next step. This was something Jiang Chongkong couldn't stop. Even if he beat Li Qinghe away, they would send someone stronger. The East Sea was weak and the Heavenly Court was a giant that couldn't be provoked. He could only do his best to buy time for the Dragon King and Ao Qingyu so that they could successfully enter seclusion. As for whether the Heavenly Court would kill him because of this, Jiang Chongkong had already prepared a way. His Chaos Divine Power had already entered the bodies of most living beings in the territory. As long as they didn't all die, he could be reborn. When he was reborn from a drop of blood, a wisp of his soul was reborn. After he became an immortal, everything merged. As long as a wisp of chaos force didn't disappear, he would be immortal and live forever. Ignoring Li Qinghe, Jiang Chongkong called the 10 heavenly soldiers and asked them to bring some spirit fruits up. There were still some in the sea. The 10 heavenly soldiers also knew this, but they didn't say anything. They ate, drank, and chatted as if they knew nothing. Chapter 484. Li Qinghe waved his hand and set up a golden light to seal the room. Then, he respectfully took out the jade token and kowtowed 9 times to contact the celestial Dharch of the heavenly court. This matter was secretly arranged by the celestial Dharch, and he had the authority to contact the celestial Dharch. Soon, the jade token blossomed with golden light, and the celestial Thearcha's voice was heard. "Is it done? Your Majesty, we encountered a small problem. The Dragon King walked out of the Ascension Pool and is in seclusion." Li Qinghe respectfully reported the matter to the celestial Dharch. There was no falsehood, and he didn't dare to exaggerate. "A mid-stage human immortal that can defeat your chaotic body? He has a special suppression ability that can resist your power of laws?" The celestial Thearcha's tone fluctuated. "His talent is not bad. It seems that he is in the human immortal realm and has touched the power of laws. In the celestial Thearcha's opinion, he should have touched the power of laws. The chaotic body didn't have any suppression ability. Your Majesty, this substitute Dragon King is extremely powerful. I think he can be included in the heavenly army," Li Qinghe said respectfully. The celestial Thearcha's tone became calm again. "If that's the case, I'll leave it to you. After it's done, let him enter the heavenly court and be your deputy." "Yes, Your Majesty. What about the Dragon King?" Li Qinghe became cautious again. The Dragon King was what the celestial Dharch cared about. A chaotic body wasn't worth the celestial Thearcha's attention. He said everything and proposed to take him into the heavenly court because he hoped that the celestial Dharch wouldn't flatten this place out of anger. Li Qinghe didn't have any hostility towards Jiang Chongkong. Instead, he wanted to befriend him. If they could become good friends and work together in the heavenly court, he would have another helper. Now that the celestial Dharch had asked to be his deputy, he had found an excellent helper. The celestial Dharch said indifferently, "The Dragon King has worked hard these years. Just wait for him to come out of seclusion." "Yes, Your Majesty." Li Qinghe was relieved. The celestial Dharch spoke again. "There's no need to rush this matter. Just don't spread it and attract attention. The Dragon King has been very conscientious these years. We'll return the East Sea to him." "Yes, Your Majesty." Li Qinghe bowed again, and the jade token dimmed. The celestial Dharch had cut off the connection. Li Qinghe carefully put them away before taking out his immortal equipment. Jiang Chongkong had already retracted his primal chaos divine power. After all, they were considered friends. If Jiang Chongkong took the initiative to take it back, it wouldn't be considered embarrassing for him. Without the restriction of the primal chaos divine power, the celestial artifact automatically healed itself, but its power was somewhat weakened. By the time he left the room, the banquet had already begun. Jiang Chongkong personally welcomed them. Li Qinghe drank a cup of wine and said with a smile, "Acting Dragon King, we'll wait for you to come out." "Don't worry, Acting Dragon King. In addition, I have asked the Exalted Immortal. Exalted Immortal intends to recruit the Acting Dragon King to join the Heavenly Court. I wonder if the Acting Dragon King is willing?" The Heavenly Court. Jiang Chongkong's expression changed slightly. "I'm just helping the Dragon King deal with some matters, and I plan to wander around the immortal world afterwards." "Acting Dragon King, the immortal world is chaotic and filled with danger. However, there are many immortals and even immortal lords hiding on the land," a silver-armored heavenly soldier said. "With the addition of some forces, even immortals can't survive." Jiang Chongkong smiled faintly. "I'm not afraid of danger. I'm just used to being alone." "Acting Dragon King, you don't know the benefits of joining the heavenly court." Li Qinghe smiled and said, "As long as you join the heavenly court, ordinary immortals won't dare to make things difficult for you. Moreover, you'll get spiritual accumulations every month. Spiritual accumulations? Jiang Chongkong raised his eyebrows. He had obtained it in the mortal world. The 5 elements devil refinement land could refine experts into spiritual accumulations. This is spiritual accumulations. Li Qinghe took out a palm-sized stone that was shining with golden light. There are many primal chaos spiritual accumulations in the heavenly court. Spiritual accumulations contain abundant immortal power, not inferior to immortal stones. Some spiritual accumulations even contain enlightenment of the laws. Essence, Qi, and Spirit, 2000. Do you want to withdraw it? You can withdraw it directly. It's already processed. Jiang Chongkong smiled slightly. Such a precious item must be difficult to obtain, right? That's right. We only get 1 spiritual accumulations of the same level every month. General, you get 3, the 10 heavenly soldiers said. Li Qinghe smiled and said, although the fixed monthly salary is small, if you don't make any mistakes for a year, you'll get an additional 10. Moreover, if you can make contributions to the heavenly court, you'll get more spiritual accumulations. Jiang Chongkong shook his head. He still didn't want to join. The immortal record was a thorn in his heart. He didn't know if his ability to level up would be affected by the immortal record. If it was affected, he would stagnate like the little dragon king. If it wasn't affected, the benefits would be huge. He could obtain resources and level up quickly. There's no hurry. Think about it on behalf of the Dragon King. Li Qinghe wasn't angry or forced him. Many immortals were unwilling to join the heavenly court at first. When they couldn't survive in the celestial world, they wanted to join, but the treatment wasn't good. After that, they ate and drank and talked about the situation in the celestial world. He didn't know if they were trying to scare him by saying that the celestial world was very dangerous. In some places there were powerful demons lurking. In some places there were demons hiding and immortals were their food. Under normal circumstances, the mission of the heavenly soldiers and heavenly generals was to maintain the security of the heavenly court's territory. If evil demons or immortals appeared in the heavenly court's territory, it would be time for them to take action. Those who resisted the heavenly court's rule had to be killed. These were all contributions. Every time they did something, they would accumulate heavenly court merit points. Merit points could be exchanged for immortal artifacts, immortal herbs, and even spiritual accumulations. There were also some special situations, such as fighting with peerless demons or the celestial court or celestial court. This was what the heavenly soldiers and heavenly generals hated the most. The heavenly soldiers were basically cannon fodder. The heavenly generals had the ability to protect themselves. Basically, if they could survive and return, it would be a great contribution. In the heavenly court, those who were stronger than them or had a higher position than them were called exalted immortals. After eating, Jiang Chongkong asked someone to bring them to rest. Jiang Chongkong continued to deal with some trivial matters in the Dragon Palace. The heavenly soldiers and heavenly generals settled down. They really weren't in a hurry to urge the Dragon King to come out. Jiang Chongkong was also relieved. Occasionally, he would bring Li Qinghe to wander around the vicinity. Li Qinghe still didn't give up and wanted to invite him to join the heavenly court. Jiang Chongkong would change the topic every time and tell him about the East Sea. Once, Jiang Chongkong deliberately mentioned that the Dragon King of the East Sea had cultivated for 3,000 years and had stagnated. Li Qinghe also said that in the immortal realm, cultivation alone was useless unless they had treasures such as spiritual accumulations and immortal stones. Seeing that he really didn't know, Jiang Chongkong didn't say anything. The celestial Dharch probably wouldn't let anyone know about the hidden dangers of the immortal record. After bringing them around for 7 days, Jiang Chongkong had an idea and called Jin Qihai over. "Greet the lords on my behalf. I'll be back soon." "Brother Jiang, why are you in such a hurry?" Li Qinghe asked kindly. Do you need help? There's no need. I'll go and welcome the Dragon King when he comes out of seclusion. I can't invite General Li into the secret chamber, Jiang Chongkong said with cupped hands. Li Qinghe hurriedly said, I see. In that case, please go quickly. I'll gather them now and wait for the Dragon King to come out of seclusion. Chapter 485. In the underground space, the dragon transformation pool sealed by Jiang Chongkong's chaotic divine power was activated. Roar. A loud dragon roar resounded. If not for the chaotic divine power sealing it, it would have already spread out. Jiang Chongkong entered the green stone door. The stone dragon inside had already lost its power. The dragon transformation pool had already dried up. A golden dragon and a blue dragon were in the true dragon pool, looking at the chaotic divine power barrier. Jiang Chongkong arrived. The chaotic divine power dissipated and two true dragons flew out at the same time. They were both small dragons, less than 3 meters long. Inside the true dragons there was a body. It was the body of Ao Qingyu's mermaid. She looked no different from a living person. Her face was rosy and there was still a lingering aura. She looked like she was sleeping. The two golden dragons turned into human form. Ao Qingyu was wearing a blue dress. Her face did not change. She was still exquisite. Ao Ling was still the same, just a little taller. Their auras were extremely strong. Ao Qingyu was already an early-stage human immortal. Ao Ling was even stronger. She had reached late-stage human immortal and her cultivation was even higher than his. Thank you, Chongkong. Ao Qingyu bowed slightly and said gratefully. It was Jiang Chongkong who gave up the chance to transform into a dragon and gave it to her. Brother Chongkong. Ao Ling's face was filled with gratitude and excitement. Don't get excited, listen to me first. Jiang Chongkong told them everything, including the discovery of the Immortal Book. Ao Ling's face turned pale. Ao Qingyu's face was also dark. If that's the case, Heavenly Court cannot join. Once they joined, they would be tightly controlled by the Heavenly Court in the future. Dragon King, let me see your Immortal Book first, Jiang Chongkong said. He wanted to study this Immortal Book carefully to see if he could see anything. Ao Ling nodded, revealing her immortal record. A unique aura, ethereal immortal energy, golden light shining brilliantly. Jiang Chongkong circulated his divine power and pressed it on the Immortal Book. He felt the Immortal Book carefully and a strange emotion appeared in his heart. The Immortal Book was trembling as if it was afraid of his touch. I can't sense the existence of the Immortal Record. Ao Ling was shocked. Jiang Chongkong let go and the Immortal Book returned. Ao Ling's face fell as the Immortal Book entered her body again. You can deal with it? Ao Qingyu asked in pleasant surprise. Jiang Chongkong shook his head. I'm not strong enough. I can only isolate it for an instant. It won't be of much help. His acquired chaotic Tao body should be able to suppress and even destroy the Immortal Record. If the Immortal Records were destroyed, the Heavenly Courts would sense it and just suppress it. It should not be a problem. But he couldn't suppress Ao Ling all the time. He could come once in a while. Through his conversation with Li Qinghe, he learned that immortals of the Heavenly Court wanted to improve when they received reward. Normal bitter cultivation was almost useless. Unless one cultivated for an extremely long time, they could barely increase their strength. In other words, if you worked for the Heavenly Court, the Celestial Dharch would see that you worked hard and contributed to the Heavenly Court, so he would relax some restrictions and let you improve. If he didn't make any contributions and didn't do anything, then forget it. He would continue to stay where he was. Jiang Chongkong didn't know what other mysteries the Immortal Record had. Then what should we do? We can't resist the Heavenly Court now. Ao Qingyu frowned. You have a way, don't you? Jiang Chongkong pointed at the true dragon pool. And you? Ao Qingyu's eyes lit up. She still had the mermaid king body that she shed. It could be used to enter the Heavenly Court, and her true dragon body could be cultivated and improved. But thinking of them, Ao Qingyu's expression dimmed. What about you and the Dragon King? The heavenly court still has merit. I just need to make contributions. It's fine, Jiang Changkong said. He could completely suppress it and not affect his advancement. Sigh, that's all we can do. Ao Qingyu sighed. Poor Dragon King. It's fine. I will guard the ocean. The celestial arch will see my contributions, just like this time. Ao Ling recovered and said firmly, I want to be a good Dragon King of the East Sea. She had been like this for so many years. Even if she knew about the hidden dangers of the immortal record, she could accept it. After all, she couldn't resist. A child was a child after all. She recovered so easily. Jiang Changkong sighed in his heart. Don't tell anyone about this. Let's go. Li Qinghe and the rest are still waiting. I will go out with my secondary body. My true dragon body will stay here and cultivate in seclusion. Ao Qingyu changed into her mermaid body and left with them. After leaving the underground space, Jiang Changkong sealed the place again. Li Qinghe greets the Dragon King. Li Qinghe cupped his fist. He was giving face. The other heavenly soldiers also cupped their fists. They all knew about Ao Qingyu. She ascended with Jiang Changkong, so they didn't care about her. The acting Dragon King has already told me that General Li is here on the Celestial Thearcha's orders. What is it? Ao Ling was very polite. As the Dragon King, she couldn't afford to offend a heavenly general yet. Dragon King, do you have a golden dragon scale? Li Qinghe asked in a low voice. How did you know? Ao Ling's expression changed slightly. They had just gotten the true dragon scale. Ao Qingyu's expression darkened. Did the East Sea Dragon Palace not have any secrets in front of the heavenly court? Jiang Changkong didn't expect them to be here for this. They hadn't revealed anything in the past few days, so he didn't ask. Li Qinghe took out a map. There were 4 dragon scales. The true dragon scales can sense each other. You only have one, so you naturally don't know. You want the map? Ao Qingyu looked at the map in their hands and frowned. Ao Ling had said that the golden dragon scale showed a part of the East Sea. Now that they saw 4 dragon scales and a map, they were clearly here for the incomplete map. Li Qinghe nodded. The map will lead us to the ancient dragon remains. The celestial arch wants something there. After this, the 5 dragon scales will be returned to you, and the East Sea will truly be under your control. Jiang Changkong and Ao Qingyu didn't say anything else. They looked at Ao Ling. She was the true Dragon King. She had to make the decision. Ao Ling took out the golden dragon scale without hesitation. If the celestial arch wants it, then take it. They couldn't afford to offend the celestial arch, so they could only give him whatever he wanted. Thank you, Dragon King. Li Qinghe took the golden dragon scale, and the map appeared. He quickly drew it. The map was complete. The 5 dragon scales floated above the map, releasing colorful light and showing the map of the East Sea. The 5 dragon scales vibrated gently, and the colorful light combined to form a route that pointed to one place. Thank you, Dragon King. Let's go now. Li Qinghe put away the map and said excitedly. Ao Ling nodded. Let's go then. It was something left by the ancient dragon, so it was more convenient for the Dragon King of the East Sea to go. Jiang Changkong and Ao Qingyu didn't have any objections. The heavenly court couldn't go without the Dragon King. After instructing Jin Qihai to take care of the territory, the 3 followed Li Qinghe and the others to the place indicated on the map. Jiang Changkong was also curious. What did the ancient dragon leave here that attracted the attention of the heavenly court's celestial arch? Li Qinghe had done his homework about the East Sea before coming. Even though the terrain had changed greatly compared to the ancient era, he could still recognize where it was. Ao Ling wasn't as knowledgeable as Li Qinghe about some places. The one who understood the East Sea the most was not the Dragon King, but the outsiders. Chapter 486. The complete map led to the dusty land in the deep sea. There were many places in the East Sea that even sky immortals did not dare to set foot in. The place that the map led to was a dangerous area. This was the forbidden area of the East Sea. Almost no mermen dared to come here. Golden light flashed and parted the seawater. Li Qinghe took the lead and walked in front. His immortal aura swept over 10,000 meters in front of him. It was deathly silent. There was only darkness all around, and not a single living thing could be seen, not even a small bug. Stepping into the seawater, Li Qinghe took out 5 dragon scales. Buzz! The 5 dragon scales glowed with colorful light and appeared on the map to guide the way. "Let's go," Li Qinghe said. "Be careful. You are not afraid of death, but I am worried about the Dragon King's safety," Jiang Chongkong said lightly. Li Qinghe nodded and retracted his immortal aura. The immortal aura shrunk to cover an area of about 10 meters. The group followed carefully behind. The 10 heavenly soldiers surrounded Ao Ling and Ao Qingyu, protecting them. Walking in the dark underground, they could not hear any sound or see any living creatures. Suddenly, Jiang Chongkong looked to the left and shot out a chaotic divine power. Left. His immortal aura was vast. The spear pierced through the water and stabbed out. With a bang, the chaotic divine power exploded. The spear paused and dissipated. There was no living creature. There was nothing there, but it blocked their attack. Li Qinghe said seriously, "What was that?" Jiang Chongkong shook his head. "I don't know. I only felt danger." "Keep going." Li Qinghe's expression froze. He already knew the danger here. He did not see anything, but it could block his and Jiang Chongkong's attack. The group moved forward carefully and gradually went deeper into the dusty land. After another 15 minutes, Jiang Chongkong's figure flashed and he pounced forward, slapping the water with his palm. Clang! There was a loud sound. The surrounding seawater surged and surged. A powerful force shook, and Jiang Chongkong's figure retreated. His right hand cracked, and gray blood flowed in the wound. There was still seawater in front of them. There was nothing. The sense of danger dissipated. Jiang Chongkong retreated to their side and stretched out his injured hand. "Can you tell what kind of injury it is? It doesn't look like a sharp blade. How terrifying! It was actually able to leave such a large wound on your body," Li Qinghe said solemnly. The wound was so deep that his bones could be seen. It was as if his palm was about to be chopped off. The scar seemed to have been torn open by a powerful force, and there were small, uneven scars on the edge of the wound. It was as if a wild beast had gnawed on it, but there was no aura left. Without another word, the group continued on their way. They traveled for another 15 minutes. This time, they didn't encounter any danger. Jiang Chongkong was still wondering what the thing in the dark was. He was clearly able to hit the other party, but he was unable to find him. Even with his chaos divine energy, he was unable to detect the other party. Could it be that the Tao of strength allowed one to exert strength without form? While he was deep in thought, the feeling of danger assaulted him again. This time, it came from all directions. "Protect the Dragon King. There's danger everywhere." Jiang Chongkong's expression turned serious. His chaos divine power was like a barrier that protected everyone. The 10 heavenly soldiers and heavenly general Li Qinghe activated their immortal power at the same time to form a barrier. Boom! The seawater surged and the chaotic barrier shook. It shattered in the blink of an eye and began to attack the immortal power barrier. It was still an invisible force that began to attack the barrier frantically. Jiang Chongkong frowned and set up another barrier with his chaos divine energy. Ao Qingyu and Ao Ling attacked at the same time. The might of a true dragon spread. Rumble! As soon as the might of a true dragon appeared, the attacks became even more frenzied. "Quickly withdraw your power," Li Qinghe said in a low voice. "Don't reveal your dragon might." Ao Ling and Ao Qingyu quickly withdrew their power and restrained their dragon might. The attacks outside also weakened, but they were still terrifying. Li Qinghe's expression darkened. A golden umbrella appeared and emitted golden light to protect them. Boom! The golden light shook, but it couldn't be broken. Only then did everyone heave a sigh of relief. These attacks can't break a pinnacle third-grade immortal artifact. Li Qinghe looked outside and said, "But we still don't know what this thing is. How far are we from the destination?" Jiang Chongkong asked with a frown. "At our speed, it will take about an hour," Li Qinghe said in a low voice. "Next, let's speed up." "Okay." Jiang Chongkong nodded and also infused his divine energy into the golden umbrella. The attacks outside were still falling. Fortunately, the pinnacle third-grade immortal artifact was strong enough to block them. What is hidden in the sea? Why is it even crazier after encountering the dragon might? Jiang Chongkong couldn't understand. This was left behind by the ancient dragon clan. It should have let them through after sensing the might of a true dragon. In the end, Ao Ling, the Dragon King, made the hidden power even crazier. Boom! After advancing for half an hour, the golden umbrella trembled and the falling golden light cracked. "Be careful." Jiang Chongkong stood in front of Ao Ling and Ao Qingyu, but he didn't sense any danger. "Let's go. Let's charge at full speed." Li Qinghe's expression changed. The golden umbrella expanded and repaired the crack. It enveloped them and rushed into the depth. Jiang Chongkong looked at the golden umbrella. The chaos power fluctuated and his body stiffened. "Why is one heavenly soldier missing?" Li Qinghe was slightly stunned. The other heavenly soldiers were also stunned. Only 9 of the 10 heavenly soldiers were left. They didn't even notice that one was missing. "Why don't we go back and ask the Celestial Arch?" Jiang Chongkong suggested. Li Qinghe shook his head. "No, we're already here. We'll be there soon if we do our best." Jiang Chongkong didn't say anything else. He waved his hand and the chaos power enveloped Ao Ling and Ao Qingyu. He could only apologize to the other heavenly soldiers. He might not even be able to protect himself. The golden umbrella moved forward quickly, passing through the sea and entering the depths. Jiang Chongkong's chaos power spread and covered every corner. Without making a sound, a heavenly soldier's body became faint. The heavenly soldier didn't seem to feel anything. He didn't even notice the changes. The chaos power instantly entered the heavenly soldier's body. The heavenly soldier raised his head slightly and looked at him with a cold smile. His eyes had turned blood-red. The other heavenly soldiers were also shocked when they saw this. With blood-red eyes and a strange smile, the heavenly soldier disappeared in the next moment. Even the chaos power couldn't keep him. Didn't the heavenly court investigate this place? Jiang Chongkong's expression was solemn. "Dragon King, you don't know anything about this place?" Ao Ling shook her head. She really didn't know. It was her first time here. Li Qinghe also didn't know. He shook his head and said, "This is also my first time seeing such a situation. There are too many mysteries hidden in the East Sea." Jiang Chongkong frowned. He sighed helplessly in the end and rushed forward with all his might. He hoped that they could reach their destination without any more problems. "The attacks outside have stopped. We're here." Li Qinghe took out 5 dragon scales. They had reached their destination. The golden umbrella wasn't attacked anymore. However, 2 of the 10 heavenly soldiers were mysteriously missing. The golden umbrella opened, and divine light shone down. Even a heaven immortal could see 100 meters in the deep darkness. The group stood under the umbrella. A heavenly soldier's body became faint again. His eyes were blood-red, and he had a strange smile on his face. Chapter 487. The third peak human immortal heavenly soldier was gone. Li Qinghe's expression finally changed. A place that sky immortals were unwilling to set foot in was too strange. Why didn't the Celestial Arch send a deity? Jiang Chongkong frowned. Li Qinghe said, "A deity will attract attention. Only we can do it." "It's not too late to retreat now," Jiang Chongkong said in a low voice. "We can't retreat." Li Qinghe shouted and took out 5 dragon scales. We have to complete the Celestial Thearcha's mission, even if we have to sacrifice our lives. Jiang Changkong's expression turned cold. Even if all of us die? The 7 heavenly soldiers had determined expressions. General, what should we do next? Maybe we can find the ancient dragon's legacy, and everything will be fine. Jiang Changkong. You guys are really loyal. Just pretend that I didn't say anything. The 5 dragon scales shone and a 5-colored light flew out and sank into the ground. Rumble. The ground suddenly shook and a stone tablet slowly rose under the guidance of the 5-colored light. There were 5 images on the stone tablet that were the same size as the dragon scales. Buzz. The dragon scale landed directly on the pattern. Immediately, a 5-colored light shone brightly, and a 5-colored vortex appeared. Go in. Jiang Changkong's expression changed, and he rushed into the 5-colored vortex with the other 2. The feeling of danger came again. It was the dragon might of the 5 dragon scales. Li Qinghe didn't dare to stay and hurriedly brought them into the vortex. After entering the 5-colored vortex, the feeling of danger disappeared. In the vast space, a majestic city appeared in Jiang Changkong's line of sight. Roar. A dragon roar sounded and Ao Ling turned into a true dragon uncontrollably. Ao Qingyu pressed down on Jiang Changkong's shoulder. Jiang Changkong understood and sent chaotic divine power into her body to suppress her. The majestic city emitted a thick dragon might. A true dragon would sense it and turn into a dragon. Ao Qingyu had already transformed. Apart from her body, her soul had also transformed into a true dragon. If Jiang Changkong didn't suppress her, she would also turn into a dragon. Plop! The sound of heavy objects falling could be heard. Li Qinghe and several heavenly soldiers fell behind them. Only the 6 of you are left? Jiang Changkong glanced at them and his expression darkened. There were only 5 heavenly soldiers left. They did not understand why the Celestial Thearch did not send a group of heaven immortals and heavenly generals. Roar. Ao Ling let out a dragon roar, and the majestic city seemed to sense it. The tightly shut city gates slowly opened. Let's go, Li Qinghe said excitedly. With that, he rushed into the city with the 5 heavenly soldiers. Jiang Changkong said nothing and followed beside Ao Ling. He did not have a good impression of the heavenly soldiers and heavenly generals. If they dared to act recklessly later, he wouldn't mind killing them. As for the Sky Emperor? If Ao Ling was angered, he would destroy Ao Ling's immortal status and leave the heavenly court's territory. Jiang Changkong and the others followed behind and entered the city. Golden light flickered within the city, and there were countless palaces and pavilions. There was an ancient golden bridge that spanned across the palace, but it was unknown where the 2 ends were. Dragon King, did you sense anything? Li Qinghe looked at the palace in front of him and did not act rashly. Instead, he looked at Ao Ling who had just entered. Ao Ling flew in the air and emitted a dragon might. Nothing for now. Then shall we enter the nearest palace to take a look? Li Qinghe asked Ao Ling. Ao Ling nodded and then shook her head. I don't know this place. You guys make the decisions. I won't be responsible if anything happens. Of course. Li Qinghe nodded and smiled. His Majesty has already said that you will be the true king of the East Sea in the future. How would he dare to blame you? At this point, Li Qinghe's politeness had turned into humility. When they went out, Ao Ling would become the Dragon King of the East Sea, recognized by the Heavenly Court and completely control the East Sea. Her position would be far above his. The group entered the nearest palace, but it was empty. There was a passageway at the end. The power of the true dragon passed through, and the palace turned into rays of divine light. It was an immortal level array formation. It's fine now, Ao Ling said. The group passed through the palace and entered the passageway. Everything in front of them was shocking. It was a container made of crystal, and it was 100 meters tall. It was filled with golden liquid, and a true dragon was sealed inside. How is this possible? The ancient dragons are experimenting on dragons here? Everyone's expressions changed. The ancient dragons were experimenting on their own kind? No, this isn't the dragon race. Ao Ling looked at the true dragon in the golden liquid and said with certainty, "If it was the dragon race, I would have sensed it." "Then what is this? Does it look exactly like a dragon?" Li Qinghe was puzzled. The 5 heavenly soldiers were also curious. Jiang Chongkong walked forward and circled the bottom of the crystal container. A line of dragon characters appeared. "They are creating dragons. Creating dragons." The others gathered around. Li Qinghe clearly understood the dragon characters. He said in surprise, "The ancient dragons are creating dragons? The dragon race's reproductive ability is extremely low. Maybe they are using this method to expand the dragon race." A heavenly soldier guessed. "Is there anything the celestial Dharch wants here?" Ao Ling asked. Li Qinghe took out the map and shook his head. "The things the celestial Dharch wants are in this map. There will be a reaction if you see it. There is no reaction here." "Then let's go take a look at the other palaces." Jiang Chongkong looked around. There were many passages leading to other palaces. Soon, Ao Ling led the way into the next palace. Just like before, it was empty except for a single passage. There was also a container after passing through the passage. "This is the primordial divine ape, created by the dragons?" Li Qinghe exclaimed. The primordial divine ape was a race that was no less talented than the dragons. However, it had disappeared after the primordial era. There was no trace of it in the entire world of immortals. The group walked to the next palace. "This is a phoenix. This is a qilin. This is the savage beast Jiuying, the legendary unparalleled great demon." The group passed through the palaces and saw one container after another. It was as if they had returned to the primordial era. Extinct or on the verge of extinction appeared here. Although they were all fake, it was still shocking enough. Especially when they were all created by the ancient dragons. They wanted to know how the ancient dragons could do it and what they were up to. If the previous dragon was created to expand the race, how could this be explained? Could it be that the ancient dragons wanted to revive the primordial era, or even more ancient times, to make those long-extinct species reappear? No one knew what the ancient dragons were up to. They could only pass through the palaces to find what the celestial Dharch wanted. After looking for a long time, they stopped in their tracks because they saw the golden bridge. "Should we go up?" "I can sense the golden bridge," Ao Ling said. "The Dragon King can sense it." "Let's go up," Li Qinghe hurriedly said. He had brought the Dragon King here in hopes that the Dragon King could sense what the celestial Dharch wanted. The group stepped onto the golden bridge. There was nothing special, except that the bridge was so sturdy that they couldn't move it. There were no formations or dangers. The group soon arrived at the center of the golden bridge. Standing there, they could see the entire city. Ao Ling flew above the golden bridge and suddenly exclaimed, "Ancestral Dragon! Where is he?" Everyone's expressions changed as they looked around warily. Chapter 488. The Ancestral Dragon was long dead, the first true dragon in the world of immortals. He had fallen countless years ago. Even the primordial dragons had never seen the Ancestral Dragon. Now that Ao Ling said it out loud, it gave them a fright. It was a mystery how strong the Ancestral Dragon was back then, but if he could create the primordial dragons, he would definitely be able to kill them instantly. Ao Ling pointed below with her dragon claw. "Look here. Link those containers together." Everyone followed her instructions and exclaimed. The primordial dragons arranged the living beings they created into the ancestral dragon? The vessel below, when joined together, formed a dragon, a true dragon. The dragon they saw was the head of the dragon. Yes, they were arranging the ancestral dragon. Ao Ling's eyes were solemn. "I recognized it as the ancestral dragon because of his remaining power." "The ancestral dragon's remaining power?" Li Qinghe paused. "Dragon King, it's not that I don't like to speak, but there are almost no records of the ancestral dragon's era. The ancestral dragon died countless years ago, and his remaining power has long dissipated. Then do you think the heavens still exist? Ao Ling turned to look at him. The heavens? Li Qinghe was speechless. Why are you talking about the heavens again? What is the heavens? Jiang Chongkong asked. Before the primordial era, the heavenly Tao existed in the world of immortals. It ruled over all things. Anyone who reached the sage level could borrow the power of the heavenly Tao. Unless the heavenly Tao was destroyed, the sage would not die. Li Qinghe explained. Jiang Chongkong. Sage of the heavenly Tao? I feel like there's something wrong with the world I came from. Did I come to Earth's future, or a parallel world? Jiang Chongkong had his doubts. In the primordial era, the heavenly Tao did not exist and the sage disappeared. The heavenly Tao has not appeared since then. Li Qinghe sighed. The world of immortals no longer has a supreme ruler. The ancestral dragon was once a sage and could borrow the power of the heavenly Tao. Since the heavenly Tao is still there, the ancestral dragon should not have died then, right? Jiang Chongkong analyzed. The ancestral dragon could not have died if he could borrow the power of the heavenly Tao. Who knows? The information I left said the ancestral dragon was already dead. Li Qinghe shook his head. This was not something a sky immortal or heavenly general like him could understand. Ao Ling continued. In my mind there are still some inherited memories. The ancestral dragon never died. The power of the ancestral dragon is scattered all over the immortal world. One day the ancestral dragon will be reborn. Yes, it's good that you have perseverance. The few of them didn't believe it at all. How many years had it been? If he wanted to be reborn, he would have been reborn long ago. The heavenly Tao was long gone. Otherwise, why would the immortal world be like this? Let's talk about what happened here. Li Qinghe pulled the topic back to reality. The ancestral dragon was too strong. He was definitely the strongest existence in the celestial world. If they could be reborn, who would dare to bully the dragon clan? How did you end up like this? This city is most likely a grand formation of the dragon race. They're arranging the ancestral dragons in order to keep the power of the ancestral dragons here. Ao Ling said softly, Now, either you activate the formation and release the power of the ancestral dragon, or you do nothing. Will it be dangerous to release the ancestral dragon's power? Everyone pondered. Ao Ling explained, No, the power of the ancestral dragon is scattered all over the celestial world. Unless one is of the true dragon bloodline, no one will be able to sense it, and it won't hurt anyone. Isn't that the same as saying nothing? Li Qinghe smiled and said, Since there's no danger, activate the formation and release the power of the ancestral dragon. Let's see what happens. Roar. Ao Ling let out a dragon roar, and rays of golden light spread from her body. Rays of true dragon's power filled the majestic city. Roar. An ancient dragon roar suddenly rang out within the city. There's really the power of the ancestral dragon? Everyone's expressions changed at the same time. Was the ancestral dragon really not dead? Rumble. The entire city shook. Rays of golden light shot into the sky, forming countless golden light pillars. Rays of light also appeared in the arranged containers, forming an enormous true dragon in the air. Buzz. The map in Li Qinghe's hand glowed with a faint golden light. There's a change. The celestial Thearka's map is changing, Li Qinghe and the 5 heavenly soldiers said excitedly. Rumble. Suddenly there was a tremor, and rays of golden light swept out, heading straight for the people on the golden bridge. He swung his spear, and chaotic divine power surged out, blocking the golden light. Didn't you say there's no danger? Li Qinghe staggered back, and Jiang Chongkong also took a step back. This isn't the power of the true dragon. Someone's here, Ao Ling said in a deep voice. Someone's here. Li Qinghe narrowed his eyes. There was actually someone here. As expected of the Dragon King of the East Sea. You know this place well. A sneer sounded and 4 figures rose into the sky. All of them were heaven immortals. The leader had rhinoceros horns and was a peak heaven immortal. His aura was far stronger than theirs. The other 3 were a late-stage heaven immortal and 2 mid-stage heaven immortals. Li Qinghe's expression darkened, and he said coldly, "Rhinoceros Demon King, this is what the Celestial Dharch told you to do. How dare you ruin it?" The Celestial Dharch? What a joke! Since when did the monster race listen to him? The Rhinoceros Demon King sneered, not giving the Celestial Dharch any face. Li Qinghe's eyes were cold, but he didn't dare to attack. They were no match for the Rhinoceros Demon King even if they joined forces. Not to mention that there were still 3 heaven immortals. Jiang Changkong's expression was solemn. The Rhinoceros Demon King was very powerful, and the Immortal Sutra he cultivated was of high quality. The Rhinoceros Demon King looked at Ao Ling and grinned. "Dragon King of the East Sea, as long as you listen to us and join the monster race, we can help you get your immortal record." Ao Ling remained silent as if she was thinking. The immortal record was a shackle, but would there be no shackles if he joined the monster race? Jiang Changkong looked at Li Qinghe. "Did the Celestial Dharch not give you any means? If not, then I'm sorry. I'm going to surrender with the little Dragon King." It didn't matter which force he joined, as long as he could get the essence, qi, and spirit. Li Qinghe's expression became even more solemn. "The Celestial Dharch only gave me this. Jiang Changkong. Then surrender. Little Dragon King, I'll count to 3. If you don't surrender, I'll have to eat dragon meat." The Rhinoceros Demon King said with a cold look. Jiang Changkong's expression turned cold. This Rhinoceros Demon King was not a good person. Roar. A loud dragon roar sounded again, and the container suddenly exploded. The ancestral dragons also exploded. Boom. The ground below cracked, and an underground space was revealed. The exploded ancestral dragons dissipated. Buzz. The map emitted a golden light, and the senses became stronger. A powerful pressure spread out. A figure appeared on the map and stared at the Rhinoceros Demon King coldly. "Greetings, General." Li Qinghe was delighted. The 5 heavenly soldiers immediately knelt down. The powerful pressure made Jiang Changkong's body sink, and Ao Qingyu and Ao Ling almost prostrated. "General Li Gui? A deity clone?" The Rhinoceros Demon King's expression changed, and he looked at the figure seriously. "A deity clone?" Jiang Changkong was shocked. A clone of a deity realm expert gave him a lot more pressure than the Rhinoceros Demon King. The Celestial Dharch indeed had some tricks up his sleeve. "If you came in person, I'll turn around and leave, but you're just a clone." "I'm not afraid." The Rhinoceros Demon King shouted angrily and took the lead to charge at the deity clone. Chapter 489. Deities were experts who had formed the immortal Tao fruit. They could be considered experts in the immortal realm and were the true generals of the heavenly court. As for Li Qinghe, he was just a general at the vanguard and was much weaker than a general. The Rhinoceros Demon King attacked first, followed by the other 3 Demon Kings. Roar. The Rhinoceros Demon King roared and swallowed a golden pill. His aura surged. "You guys stop 2 mid-stage sky immortals." The immortal avatar finally opened his mouth. He threw down a sentence and faced the 2 monster kings. If the Rhinoceros Demon King hadn't taken any pills, the deity clone wouldn't have been afraid. But now it was as powerful as him. "Changkong, 1 for each of us, kill." Li Qinghe took the lead and rushed out after saying those words. "Brother Changkong." Ao Ling looked at him nervously. "Don't worry, a mid-stage sky immortal is nothing to me." After Jiang Changkong finished speaking, he immediately rushed out. The pressure he felt from a mid-stage sky immortal was similar to Li Qinghe's. He hadn't used his full strength when he fought with Li Qinghe. Jiang Changkong's chaotic Tao body circulated and he stepped out to stop a sky immortal. "You should be a human, a mortal immortal. You can have a change of taste." The heavenly immortal demon monarch grinned hideously and transformed into a giant black python. Don't worry about breaking your teeth. Jiang Chongkong snorted and punched at the python. The sky immortal demon king's tail swept out with black light. Boom! The fist and the tail collided. Jiang Chongkong's body floated back. The python paused. I underestimated you. I should finish you quickly and go help the king. As soon as it said that, the black light became denser and a unique law aura circulated, suppressing Jiang Chongkong. Then I'll kill you quickly too. Jiang Chongkong snorted coldly. His body expanded to 10 meters in size. Chaotic force surged out and a faint green light appeared. Chaotic golden body. The power in his body doubled and his defense doubled. Chaotic divine fist, suppression. Of the two suppressive forces, Jiang Chongkong's was slightly stronger. The sky immortal demon king's face changed and swung its tail. Boom! Crack! The chaos divine power went berserk, and the sound of scales shattering could be heard. Black snake blood splattered everywhere, and snake meat flew everywhere. The heaven immortal giant python tumbled out and said in shock, "How could your strength have increased so much?" "Dead snake, you don't need to know too much." Jiang Chongkong snorted coldly. His fist fell once again, and the power of suppression followed closely behind. The heavenly immortal python's body shrunk rapidly. Black light flickered as its body flickered rapidly. It was so fast that it was hard to capture. Jiang Chongkong sneered. He felt a sense of danger coming from behind him, and he struck out with his chaos divine power. The python was stunned. How could he see its speed? Boom! All of them fell, and the terrifying force actually broke into the giant python's body. A berserk primal chaos energy, carrying the aura of death, crazily destroyed his internal organs. Death heavenly blade, killing without injury. These characteristics were all there, it was just that one wasn't used. In a real life and death battle, Jiang Chongkong could easily kill Li Qinghe without suffering any injuries. How is this possible? My defense is comparable to a medium grade 3 celestial artifact. The heaven immortal giant python couldn't believe it. The most powerful weapon of the demon race was themselves. He was a mid-stage heaven immortal, and his body was also comparable to a medium grade 3 celestial artifact. However, this person's attack completely ignored his defense. Jiang Chongkong didn't give him a chance to explain. He slapped down with his palm, enveloping the heavily injured giant python. The palm was silent, strange, and unpredictable. The heaven immortal giant python wanted to retreat, but it was too late. It could only roar and block Jiang Chongkong's attack. Rumble! The palm fell, and the giant python fell at high speed. Its life aura was dissipating. Jiang Chongkong took a step forward and attacked another mid-stage heaven immortal. Li Qinghe was locked in combat with his opponent, and Jiang Chongkong directly intervened. He was extremely shocked. That mid-stage heaven immortal giant python was killed directly? Did the substitute Dragon King not use his full strength when he fought with him? Boom! Jiang Chongkong's fist collided with the heaven immortal demon king. This time, he didn't use the death heavenly blade's characteristics, but the Taiji and heaven-controlling scriptures characteristics. Heaven and earth shift. The demon king's immortal power directly merged with his chaos divine power, strengthening his attack. Blood splattered, bones broke, and the demon king was severely injured. Li Qinghe seized the opportunity. The immortal spear released the power of laws, piercing the demon king's body. The spear suddenly expanded, like a heavenly pillar, and directly rushed down with the demon king. Below, the sturdy palace was not broken, and the demon king was directly hung on the palace. "You guys go get the things. I will block them," the immortal clone shouted coldly. "Yes," Li Qinghe replied respectfully, and directly rushed into the underground space that appeared. Jiang Chongkong brought along Ao Ling and Ao Qingyu and followed them in. In the underground space, the map shone with rich light. "This is that stone tablet?" Jiang Chongkong looked ahead at the stone tablet that they entered. The 5 dragon scales were still on it, and compared to before, there was an additional stone box on the stone tablet. The map directly left Li Qinghe's hand and wrapped the stone box. Could it be the 6th dragon scale inside? Jiang Chongkong frowned. The map fluttered and a voice came out. East Sea Dragon King, open the stone box and hand it to Li Qinghe. Ao Ling took the stone box in a daze, and true dragon power surged out. Crack! The stone box slowly opened, and a golden jade tablet appeared in the stone box. There were dragon language inside the stone box. Jiang Chongkong's eyebrows twitched. Dragon research materials? The Celestial Dharch actually wanted this dragon research materials. He had thought it would be some dragon race treasure. Could it be that the Celestial Dharch was also doing research? Got it. Chongkong, let's go help General Li Gui, Li Qinghe said. Li Qinghe called out and instructed the 5 heavenly soldiers, you stay here and protect the Dragon King. Yes, General, the 5 heavenly soldiers said respectfully. The 2 left. Ao Ling flew to the stone tablet and touched the 5 dragon scales, tears welling up in her eyes. Dragon King, don't be sad, Ao Qingyu consoled. It's the dragon race's relic. Just hand it over. 13 Sea Kings. I just thought of my ancestors. Ao Ling lay in Ao Qingyu's arms and sent a voice transmission. Think of a way to get them to stand guard outside. Dragon King, it's all in the past. We will create a beautiful future. Ao Qingyu consoled and looked at the 5 heavenly soldiers. Brothers, please leave. The image of the Dragon King needs to be maintained. Don't be too sad. With the acting Dragon King around, the East Sea Dragon Palace will be fine. The 5 heavenly soldiers also consoled. When the acting Dragon King enters the heavenly courts, we should go out more. With that, the 5 heavenly soldiers left. Jiang Chongkong was too strong. Li Qinghe wholeheartedly invited him to join the heavenly courts. If he really joined, his status would definitely be above theirs. Moreover, Jiang Chongkong had just killed 2 mid-stage heavenly immortal demons. He had made a great contribution even before entering the heavenly courts. After the 5 heavenly soldiers left, Ao Ling cried even louder. The dragon claw pulled at the bottom of the stone tablet, and a golden ring appeared. He swallowed it directly. Ao Qingyu smiled and caressed Ao Ling's forehead. It seemed that their Dragon King was not stupid. Outside, the rumbling sounds were incessant. The battle was still going on. The 5 heavenly soldiers guarded the entrance, and had no idea what was going on inside. They only knew that the Dragon King was crying miserably. Chapter 490. The Chaos Divine Fist contains 7 great Tao characteristics. The shock waves from the clash of the late-stage Sky Immortal demons swept out in all directions. Fists and claws collided as the demon and human fought fiercely. His skin was torn, revealing bone-deep wounds. Gray blood flowed and golden blood splattered. Golden light and gray light shot out. Li Qinghe was depressed to find that he could not intervene at all. The immortal avatar against the drugged rhinoceros demon monarch. Jiang Chongkong against the late-stage Sky Immortal demon. Li Qinghe held his spear and watched the battle from the side. He suddenly regretted telling the Celestial Dharch to let Jiang Chongkong join the heavenly courts. Would he be able to suppress him if he was his deputy? Boom! Chaos divine power raged. Jiang Chongkong and the Sky Immortal demon monarch were sent flying and smashed into the palace. The palace was fine, but he was sent flying. On the other side, Li Gui was almost suppressing the rhinoceros demon monarch. Without the help of the late-stage Sky Immortal, the pressure on Li Gui was reduced. Although it was only an avatar, he was an immortal who had cultivated to the immortal Tao fruit. The light of laws flashed. Every strike tore open the rhinoceros demon monarch's flesh. Let's go. The rhinoceros demon monarch made a prompt decision. He spread his immortal power and enveloped the late-stage Sky Immortal demon as he charged out of the city. Leave it to me. You guys go do what you need to do. The immortal avatar instructed and chased after him. Changkong, are you alright? Li Qinghe flew forward and supported Jiang Changkong. I'm fine. I just suffered some minor injuries. Jiang Changkong waved his hand and circulated his chaos power to heal his injuries. He did not care about these minor injuries. They were only superficial wounds, but they consumed a lot of energy. After putting away the two mid-stage Sky Mortal Demon Monarch corpses, Jiang Changkong did not even ask Li Qinghe what he thought. The two walked into the underground space. Ao Ling and Ao Qingyu were looking at the stone tablet. Did you find what the Celestial Arch wanted? Asked Jiang Changkong. I got it, said Li Qinghe. Jiang Changkong nodded. I'll leave after I recover first in case I encounter danger outside. With a pained expression, Li Qinghe took out a bottle of pills and carefully poured out a pill. A second-grade mid-grade immortal pill. It's for healing. Jiang Changkong did not stand on ceremony and directly swallowed the immortal pill. A strong medicinal power spread throughout his body. The wounds on his body healed quickly. Some of the minor injuries on his body also healed quickly. Jiang Changkong operated the Second Revolution mysterious art and quickly absorbed the energy of heaven and earth to restore his consumption. Once one reached the immortal God realm, one would be able to absorb the immortal chi of the immortal world. The Second Revolution mystic art was activated, and the nearby immortal chi surged towards him. The immortal chi was so dense that it almost formed a mist, enveloping Jiang Changkong. The immortal energy was converted into chaos divine energy, and the energy consumed in his body was quickly replenished. In just 2 short hours, Jiang Changkong's chaos divine power had already recovered to its peak state. Alright, we can leave now. Jiang Changkong opened his eyes and looked at Li Qinghe. Do you know how to leave? Should we go back the way we came? Li Qinghe muttered. The 5 heavenly soldiers' expressions changed slightly. If they went back the way they came, they were likely to die in the dust-covered land. Open this place and we can go out of the dust-covered land. Ao Ling pointed at the stone tablet. Her body glowed with golden light as the power of a true dragon poured into the stone tablet. Buzz! The stone tablet shook, and the 5-colored vortex appeared again. Are we not going to wait for Li Gui? Jiang Changkong asked. His deity clone won't last long. It will disperse after this. Li Qinghe explained, we don't need to wait for the general. We'll leave directly. Then, he took the lead and entered the 5-colored vortex. Then, the 5 heavenly soldiers, Jiang Changkong and Ao Qingyu. Little Dragon King withdrew the 5 dragon scales and entered the vortex. After passing through the 5-colored vortex, they looked at the blue seawater and the dust-covered land behind them. They didn't know what dangers were hidden here. I'll go back to the heavenly court to report. The heavenly Thearcha's decree will come later. Goodbye. Then, Li Qinghe left with the 5 heavenly soldiers. Jiang Changkong didn't have to wait long. Little Dragon King also came out, and the 3 returned to the East Sea Dragon Palace. Back at the Dragon Palace, Little Dragon King closed the palace gate and mysteriously pulled Jiang Changkong, asking him to set up a barrier. Hundun Divine Power, Golden, and Blue True Dragon barriers sealed the Dragon Palace. Little Dragon King opened his mouth, and a ring flew out. This is? Jiang Changkong raised his eyebrows. Little Dragon King still had a trick up his sleeve? A relic of the ancient dragon race, Little Dragon King said excitedly. He poured the power of a true dragon into the ring and took out a pile of things with a wave of his hand. Fairy stone powder. Ancestral dragon scripture. There was also a strange black stone. Essence, chi, and spirit. 250,000. Withdraw? It was a processed fairy stone powder. These are for you. These are for the Sea King. Ao Ling divided the fairy stone powder. The Sea King had 20,000 essence, chi, and spirit, and the rest was given to Jiang Changkong. I took too much. Besides, what about you? Jiang Changkong frowned. I said we would split it 91. I have the immortal record now, Ao Ling said crisply. I'll give it to you and the Sea King. It's all thanks to you these days. How about this? I'll take these and give the rest to you. Jiang Changkong took 120,000 essence, qi, and spirit and gave the rest to them. Don't refuse. I might enter the heavenly court next. These were enough for him to reach the late-stage human immortal. Any more would only be a few tens of thousands, and he couldn't perfect his mystic art or Tao body. It was better to leave them for Ao Qingyu to slowly cultivate in seclusion. You can leave before the heavenly court comes. Ao Qingyu's expression changed slightly. Jiang Changkong smiled. The celestial world, heavenly court, celestial court, and divine court are all the same, right? All the major forces should have ways to control people. Joining the heavenly court will give you one more skin. This, Ao Qingyu opened her mouth and could only sigh. The Demon Alliance just killed 2 mid-stage heaven immortal demon immortals. That rhinoceros demon king might not be dead. Jiang Changkong said again, you can keep these immortal stone powder. Our hope is on you now. Ao Qingyu's expression was solemn. Although she had transformed into a true dragon, she felt powerless at the thought of the heavenly court. I'll leave these 2 corpses to you. I'll go into seclusion first, Jiang Changkong said. Wait, take this ancestral dragon scripture too. It's complete. Little Dragon King Ao Ling handed the ancestral dragon scripture to him. Jiang Changkong glanced at it. There were 6 levels in total, and they were only up to the Immortal King level. He looked at the first level. It was exactly the same as what he had filled in. Not a single word was different. Luckily, he had pushed the blame to the first Sea King. If he said that he had filled in it himself, it would be hard to explain now. Thank you. Jiang Changkong did not refuse and recorded the 6 levels of the ancestral dragon scripture. This stone should be useful to Brother Changkong too. Ao Ling took the black stone and handed it to Jiang Changkong. It was as black as ink and the size of a palm. It seemed to be able to absorb all light, causing the palace to darken. What is this? What's its use? Jiang Changkong could not figure it out. Brother Changkong can absorb the sealed ancestral dragon bones into his body. It will be beneficial for cultivating the ancestral dragon scripture. Ao Ling's expression was sincere and respectful. The dragon race has a memory inheritance. If anyone can obtain 100 pieces of dragon bones and absorb them into his body, he will be able to borrow the power of the ancestral dragon. Then keep it for yourself. Jiang Changkong shook his head and left. I'll go into seclusion first. If he could borrow the power of the ancestral dragon now, he would be looking forward to it. But 100 pieces? How long would that take? As for strengthening his body? Pangu was the best in the world. Chapter 491. Unless he could get a lot of essence, qi, and spirit, he wouldn't cultivate other cultivation technique. He would see if he had this opportunity after entering the heavenly court. If he had enough essence, qi, and spirit, he would cultivate and strengthen his foundation. Jiang Changkong didn't cultivate in the underground space. He found a random area outside. Ao Qingyu also went into seclusion with the celestial stone powder. Jiang Changkong's martial arts reached perfection and reached the late-stage human immortal level. Chaotic divine power, chaotic Tao body, and further improve. He estimated that he could instantly kill Li Qinghe. Even a late-stage heavenly immortal great demon could be suppressed and killed. As for peak-stage heaven immortals, he shouldn't be afraid if he didn't take any pills. If it was someone who had cultivated a top-notch quality, he wasn't sure as he hadn't met one yet. Jiang Changkong. Late-stage human immortal, deity. Second transformation mystic art, Deshang. 1/400 000 postnatal chaotic Tao body, Deshang. 1/400 000 essence, qi, and spirit. 900. He had only been in the celestial world for a few months, and he had already reached the late-stage human immortal. After stabilizing his cultivation, Jiang Chongkong returned to the East Ocean Dragon Palace. Little Dragon King didn't go into seclusion. He sat on the dragon throne and asked in confusion, "Brother Chongkong finished his seclusion so quickly? He didn't even spend half a day in seclusion this time." Jiang Chongkong smiled. "You're talented. That's how fast you are. Then, Brother Chongkong, can you teach me how to be a good Dragon King?" Little Dragon King looked at him expectantly. How to be a good Dragon King? Jiang Chongkong pondered. "I only have one secret, and that's ruthlessness." Ruthlessness. Little Dragon King was confused. "How?" Jiang Chongkong said, "Kill all the disobedient ones and leave only the obedient ones. This method might not be suitable for you." Little Dragon King had a celestial record, so it was difficult for him to improve. His method was based on his own strength. As long as he was strong, he could suppress everything even if all his subordinates died. Little Dragon King obviously couldn't do it, so Jiang Chongkong could only change his method, such as training his confidants and giving them carrots. Also, he had to nurture those who were loyal to him, such as Shrimp Dahai. Since Shrimp Dahai had been protecting her since she was young, there was no doubt about his loyalty. Little Dragon King listened patiently and asked him if he had any doubts. Jiang Chongkong was not worried that the Little Dragon King would not be able to suppress the East Sea after he left. She also had Ao Qingyu by her side. It was just that she wasn't strong enough and her status was awkward. Why did the big demon in the East Sea dare to bully the Dragon Palace? Apart from his lack of strength, the Heavenly Court didn't care, and even connived at him. Next, if the Heavenly Dharch kept her promise and handed over the entire Eastern Sea to the Little Dragon King, there would absolutely be no sea race that would dare to resist her. Even if there were, they wouldn't listen to her or even ignore her. However, they definitely wouldn't dare to make things difficult for her. Jiang Chongkong and Little Dragon King chatted for 5 days and ate a lot of seafood. Prime Minister Turtle hurried over. "Greetings, Dragon King, Acting Dragon King. The angel is here to invite Dragon King and Acting Dragon King to receive the decree." Prime Minister Turtle said respectfully. "All right, let's go." Ao Ling's little face was solemn as she tried to make herself look more dignified. The prawn soldiers and crab generals outside were already kneeling. Li Qinghe held the golden decree with a solemn expression. Behind him were 10 human immortal heavenly soldiers. East Sea Dragon King Ao Ling, Acting Dragon King, Jiang Chongkong, greets the angel. Ao Ling cupped her hands and bowed. Her posture was very low. Jiang Chongkong also cupped his hands and bowed, but he didn't speak. Li Qinghe opened the decree. Golden light shone as he chanted, "Heavenly Thearcha's decree. East Sea Dragon King Ao Ling has been conscientious for more than 3,000 years. You have worked hard and made great contributions. Today, you will become the East Sea Dragon King, restore the glory of the true dragon, and unify the East Sea." East Sea Dragon King, Jiang Chongkong, killed a heaven immortal demon king, protected the East Sea Dragon King, and made great contributions to the heavenly court. You will be bestowed with an immortal record, 100 low-grade immortal stones, and you will be the heavenly court's southern heaven gatekeeper general. What followed was a bunch of nonsense, such as the heavenly Dharch looking favorably upon them and hoping that they would make more contributions in the future. After reading it, Li Qinghe smiled. Dragon King, Acting Dragon King, receive the decree. Yes, I receive the decree. Ao Ling hurriedly received the decree respectfully. Jiang Chongkong stood at the side expressionlessly. In the mortal world, he became a Dharch. In the immortal world, he only got the position of a minor general. More or less, he was the minor commander of the Federation back then. No, he was inferior to a minor commander. This was a cannon fodder general who usually guarded the gates and led the charge in battle. Acting Dragon King, receive your immortal record. Li Qinghe took out a golden jade token and handed it to Jiang Chongkong. Jiang Chongkong received it with both hands. The jade token entered his body and disappeared. General Chongkong, we are all part of the same team from now on. Li Qinghe smiled. You are really lucky this time. Previously, the Heavenly Dharch wanted you to be my deputy general. Now you are the gatekeeper general, not the deputy general. Men, prepare a banquet to welcome the Heavenly Dharch, Ao Ling instructed. Prime Minister Turtle went to prepare. The group entered the Dragon Palace. The 10 heavenly soldiers were also invited to be treated well. I would like to congratulate General Li on your promotion. Jiang Chongkong cupped his fist. He was originally a deputy general, but now he was an official general. Bringing back the resources that the Heavenly Dharch wanted, Li Qinghe was definitely promoted. His cultivation was also stronger. This gave him quite a bit of pressure again. This surprised him. Generally, your strength has increased really quickly. Thanks to the Heavenly Thearcha's favor, I have reached the peak of Sky Immortal. Li Qinghe smiled like a flower. Then, he said in a reserved manner, I am now the Southern Heavenly General. I am one rank higher than you, brother. In the future, when I work in the Heavenly Court, I will need your guidance. Tell me about the situation in the Heavenly Court. Jiang Chongkong cupped his fists and bowed. Li Qinghe nodded with a smile. Brother, this is not the right way to address you. When you meet the exalted immortals in the future, you must call yourself General to avoid angering them. Also, when you treat your subordinates, you must have the aura of a general. You must not weaken the name of a general. Of course, between you and me, we are brothers. Through Li Qinghe's explanation, Jiang Chongkong gained a deeper understanding of the Heavenly Court. The 4 heavenly gates were the heavenly soldiers and heavenly generals of the Southern Heavenly Gate. They were responsible for guarding the gates every day. A heavenly gate had 100 human immortal captains and 100 martial immortal heavenly soldiers guarding the gate. There were 10 generals guarding the gates. Jiang Chongkong was one of them. He was in charge of 10 human immortal captains. They were only responsible for guarding the gates and maintaining law and order. They were not part of the heavenly soldiers of the Southern Heavenly Gate. A general could already come into contact with a heavenly army. Above them were the great generals of the immortal level. Their status in the Heavenly Court was not low. Now, he and Li Qinghe were still considered the lowest level of heavenly soldiers and heavenly generals. If they could become immortal lords, they would have their own heavenly palace and be conferred the title of Star Lord. They would be qualified to meet the Heavenly Dharch. In other words, Jiang Chongkong did not even have the right to meet the Heavenly Dharch. Li Qinghe was completely lucky to complete a hidden mission. The Heavenly Court's gate guarding missions were rotated once a year. After the rotation, it was not to rest, but to maintain law and order in the lands ruled by the Heavenly Court. Li Qinghe said with a smile, Brother, you will return with me later. You will be on duty for half a year after replacing me. Jiang Chongkong, I just want to wear the Heavenly Court skin and wander around. In the end, I still have to guard the gate for half a year? As if reading his thoughts, Li Qinghe comforted him. Guarding the Heavenly Gate is very easy. Brother, rest. Which heavenly soldiers are there? Chapter 492. He chatted with Li Qinghe for a long time. During the banquet, the heavenly soldiers toasted frequently. The toasts were also very formal. They first toasted Li Qinghe, then Jiang Chongkong, and then the Dragon King. As for the other marine races, the heavenly soldiers didn't take them seriously at all. During the banquet, Li Qinghe gave another immortal book for Ao Qingyu. There was no position, just to help the Dragon King of the East Sea Ao Ling. They ate until the evening. When the sky was dark, Jiang Chongkong made an excuse to let them rest and go to the sky together tomorrow. Li Qinghe agreed readily, and the heavenly soldiers were also willing to stay. In the Heavenly Court they were at the bottom, and no one took them seriously. Now that they were in the East Sea, they were all bosses. Prime Minister Turtle arranged for them to rest. Jiang Chongkong sat in the room and checked the immortal book. After the immortal book entered his body, it was very obedient, and he didn't deliberately target it. The golden immortal book quietly stayed at the edge of the chaotic divine power, not daring to touch it. When Jiang Chongkong's divine power touched it, the immortal book hurriedly retreated, as if it was very afraid. He forcefully wrapped it with chaotic divine power, and the immortal book couldn't move. No information came and he couldn't see anything. Since the immortal book limits my strength, I'll try cultivating it. Jiang Chongkong thought for a moment, then started to use the second transformation mystic art and cultivate. At first, the immortal book didn't change. However, when he wasn't paying attention, the immortal book actually carefully absorbed his chaotic divine power. It even attacked the green light in his body. Smack! The chaotic Tao body's green light was like a hand, directly slapping the immortal book, and a crack appeared on the immortal book. Immediately, the immortal book stopped moving, as if it was scared silly. I see. Jiang Chongkong stopped cultivating and figured out what was going on. 3 spiritual cores a month? This was all because of their own hard work. The immortal book absorbed the immortal's power, essence, spirit, and even the power of laws. If the immortal book took away all the immortal's cultivation, how could they improve? Unless he forcefully used resources, the number of immortal records would not be able to devour too many at once. If not for his second transformation mystic art and chaotic Tao body being very profound, he wouldn't have discovered it. If it's really as I guessed and I need to pile up resources, then it's still useful to train hard. It's just that I'll need to cultivate harder and longer. Jiang Chongkong pondered. Perhaps, if he worked 10 times harder than others, he would be able to improve. He could go to the heavenly court to check or ask the heavenly soldiers. After figuring it out, Jiang Chongkong no longer paid attention to the immortal records. The heavenly court was truly capable, taking their cultivation and giving them wages. Suppressing his thoughts, Jiang Chongkong began to rest. The night passed. The next morning, Jiang Chongkong left with them early. He had already changed into a set of golden armor and obtained a superior grade 3 immortal artifact. Usually, the equipment of heavenly soldiers and generals was distributed according to their cultivation level. The Celestial Emperor knew that he was strong enough to fight against a late-stage heaven immortal, so he gave him a superior 3rd-grade equipment. Right now, Li Qinghe was fully equipped with peak rank 3 equipment. Before he left, Ao Ling and Ao Qingyu sent him off on the surface of the sea, followed by countless shrimp soldiers and crab generals. Brother, if you want to come back, just accept the mission to protect the East Sea, Li Qinghe said in a low voice. When you're familiar with them, let the brothers guard the gate for you. If you want to go to the lower realm, just don't let anyone know, Li Qinghe said in a low voice. Thank you, General, Jiang Chongkong thanked him. Although Li Qinghe said they should call each other brothers, Jiang Chongkong wasn't that stupid, and he didn't want to call this guy brother. He wouldn't even know when he would be betrayed. Near the East Sea, there was a golden passageway that led directly to the heavenly court. The heavenly court was located in the sky of the deity world, concealed by an array formation. White clouds swirled around the golden gate, with the words, Southern Heaven Gate, carved on it. Jiang Chongkong and the others stepped out of the passageway. The 10 heavenly soldiers stood in front of the gate and continued to guard it. Li Qinghe brought Jiang Chongkong into the Southern Heaven Gate and went to the residence of the guards. There was a house with the Southern Heaven General Courtyard above it. It looked very ordinary, with only 10 rooms, where the 10 guards of the Southern Heaven Gate live. Greetings, General. 9 heavenly generals in golden armor walked out of the room and cupped their fists. Li Qinghe nodded slightly and said indifferently, This is the new general, Jiang Chongkong. He's also my brother. Get along well with him. Don't worry, General. The 9 heavenly generals smiled and hurriedly said, We will definitely get along well with this general. Chongkong, they will teach you. This is your identity jade token. You can contact me or look up information about the Heavenly Court. Li Qinghe handed a golden jade token to Jiang Chongkong. Thank you, General. Jiang Chongkong cupped his fist. After Li Qinghe left, the 9 heavenly generals stopped smiling and said coldly, "The Heavenly Court's heavenly rules and your mission are in the room. Read it yourself." With that, the 9 of them returned to the room. Jiang Chongkong shrugged. He could only sigh that the Heavenly Court was really realistic. After entering the room, there was only a bed, a wardrobe, a table, and 4 chairs. There were 2 books on the table. One was about a finger thick, and the other was only a few pages long. The Heavenly Court's heavenly rules and heavenly generals' duties? Jiang Chongkong flipped through the Heavenly Court's heavenly rules. It was similar to the legends of his previous life. One could not contradict exalted immortals, betray the Heavenly Court's interests, or leave the Heavenly Court without permission. If one wanted to leave the Heavenly Court, apart from the patrolling heavenly soldiers, the other immortals and gods had to have the Heavenly Court's earth token. Otherwise, even great generals and star lords could not leave. Also, one could not wander around. Without an invitation from their superiors, they could not go to other people's residences. If one wanted to fight, they could go to the Heavenly Court's arena to settle it. The Heavenly General's duty was to guard the gate. Without the Earth token, no one could go down. Without the Heavenly token, no one could enter the Heavenly Court. At the South Heaven Gate, they could also attack anyone who dared to violate the rules. There was also the Heavenly General's rotating mission. They could kill anyone who went down to patrol and provoke the Heavenly Court to accumulate credit. The Heavenly Generals loved to go down and play because they could earn credit and receive some filial gift. That was what Li Qinghe told him. As for the attitude of the 9 heavenly generals, he did not take it to heart. They were all mid-stage heaven immortals. Originally, their relationship with Li Qinghe was average. Or rather, their relationship with each other was average. Bang! The door opened, and a heavenly general walked in with a smile. "General Jiang, are you done reading?" "How should I address you, General?" "I'm done." Jiang Chongkong put down the 2 books. "I'm Hu Junyan. General Jiang has just become a heavenly general. May I know which general you were a heavenly soldier under?" asked the heavenly general. Jiang Chongkong said indifferently, "I'm an unfettered cultivator of the East Sea Dragon Palace. I met General Li Qinghe by chance and was invited to be a heavenly general." East Sea unfettered cultivator? A strange look flashed in Hu Junyan's eyes as he said with a smile, "General Jiang's strength is extraordinary to be recognized by the general. I hope you can help me in the future. We are both heavenly generals. I don't know how many years we will be together in the future. Naturally, we have to get closer." A smile appeared on Jiang Chongkong's face, but he sneered in his heart. "Are you here to probe me? However, I'm not interested in accompanying you." With that said, Jiang Chongkong stood up. "I still have to guard the door. I'll take my leave first. The heavenly soldiers are enough to guard the door. General Jiang doesn't have to guard the door personally." Hu Junyan blocked the door. "We stewed immortal beast meat to welcome General Jiang." "Thank you. It's my duty. There will be plenty of opportunities in the future," said Jiang Chongkong indifferently. He pressed Hu Junyan with one hand and wanted to move him away. Hu Junyan did not move, but his immortal power circulated. "General Jiang, are you not giving us face?" Jiang Chongkong frowned. "When I'm off duty, I'll invite the 9 generals." With that said, he pushed Hu Junyan away and left quickly. Chapter 493. Jiang Chongkong, you're just a small late-stage human immortal. Do you really think Li Qinghe can protect you? Hu Junyan's expression darkened. He took out a jade token and sent a message. Jiang Chongkong left the Southern Sky General Courtyard and hurried to the Southern Sky Gate. Hu Junyan probably wanted him to stay and not guard the gate. Did something happen at the Southern Sky Gate? Thinking of this, he rushed over at full speed. He hadn't started fishing for essence, chi, and spirit yet. He didn't want to mess it up. A few minutes later, Jiang Chongkong arrived at the southern sky gate. A young man in a red robe was stopped by a few heavenly soldiers. "Get out of the way. I'll say it again. All of you, get out of the way," the young man said coldly. The heavenly soldiers were troubled. "Young Master Yen, we really can't let you out without the land token. Why don't you ask our general?" I'm leaving the heavenly court, and I still have to ask them? Hu Junyan didn't tell you?" the young man said coldly. The heavenly soldiers said helplessly, "Young master, our general was Li Qinghe. Now, then get him over here." Young Master Yen said coldly. "Young Master Yen Li, come over here. Can you do that?" Jiang Chongkong said coldly, and came in front of young Master Yen. "Now, the heavenly general guarding the heavenly gate is me, Jiang Chongkong. Where's Li Qinghe?" Young Master Yen was slightly stunned. "Then," he said impatiently, "I don't care what your name is. Get them out of the way. I'm going down. Give me the land token." "I'll take a look," Jiang Chongkong said indifferently. Young Master Yan's expression darkened. "Are you courting death? If he had the land token, he would have gone down long ago. Why would he wait for Jiang Chongkong?" Jiang Chongkong said indifferently, "Without the land token, go back to where you came from." "You ant, you've made me angry." The jade tablet in the bosom of the flame young master lit up, and a trace of coldness appeared on his face. Then, a fire seal appeared between his eyebrows, and a wave of scorching heat rose up. "I advise you not to make a mistake." Jiang Chongkong's expression was indifferent. This was just an early-stage heavenly immortal. Mistake myself? A puny human immortal, even if this young master kills you, who can say anything? The flame young master shouted coldly. A long sword appeared in his hand and he pierced straight towards Jiang Chongkong's heart. But, with a bang, the flame young master was sent flying. His flames were extinguished and his face was swollen. "Arrest him and send him to prison," Jiang Chongkong said indifferently. The group of heavenly soldiers was stunned. "He was sent flying? You really want to fight? Do you know who is standing behind you? You dare to hit me?" The flame young master was also stunned. Didn't this new heavenly general only have Li Qinghe as his backer? How dare he hit me? Even Li Qinghe wouldn't dare. Didn't you hear me? Arrest him and send him to the prison of the heavenly court. Jiang Chongkong looked coldly at the heavenly soldiers around him. "Or do you not know where the heavenly prison is? Die!" With a ferocious roar, monstrous flames filled the air, and a terrifying immortal flame appeared on the scarlet longsword. Thump! Ding! The golden spear swept across the void and penetrated the flame young master's body, nailing him to the ground. Trespassing the southern heavenly gate without an earth order is against the rules of heaven. Send him to the prison and await the heavenly Thearcha's punishment, Jiang Chongkong said coldly. He picked up the flame young master and walked toward the prison. "Since you don't dare, I will personally send him in." The heavenly soldiers. The new general was probably a hothead. "Jiang Chongkong, my father is a deity, a great general. Let me go." The flame young master struggled, but his cultivation was sealed by the chaotic divine power. No matter how he struggled, he couldn't leave the spear. Jiang Chongkong ignored him. A deity was nothing. In the heavenly courts, as long as he didn't violate the rules of the heavenly courts, even immortal lords couldn't do anything to him. Besides, he was doing his duty. He didn't do anything wrong. This was clearly a good opportunity to make a contribution. He had captured a heaven immortal who trespassed the heavenly gate and tried to sneak down. He could get a spirit pool, right? As long as it wasn't an inferior first-grade immortal, a second-grade immortal would be fine too. He had given Ao Qingyu 100 low-grade first-grade immortal stones as a reward. It only added up to 1,000 essence, chi, and spirit. The celestial Tharch was really stingy. "Oh my God!" The general tied up the flame young master. Put him in the prison. The heavenly soldiers were crazy. Just let him go. It wasn't a big deal. It was not as if they had never encountered such a situation before. Many immortals and gods would secretly descend to the mortal world, and everyone would turn a blind eye to it. But Jiang Chongkong didn't play by the rules at all. He directly tied him up and threw him into the prison. The 9 heavenly generals of the southern heavenly generals were stunned. The flame young master was thrown into the prison? Soon, a group of immortals appeared. There were also some fairies who surrounded the flame young master. The flame young master was ashamed and resentful. You put me down. I can walk by myself. Throw him into the prison? Don't pick me. It was embarrassing to have so many immortals watching. Jiang Chongkong didn't bother with him and continued walking. The news spread very quickly. Soon, hundreds of immortals were watching. The flame young master was famous now. He would probably be famous in the heavenly court soon. Heavenly General Jiang, hand him over to us. Soon, 2 heavenly immortals arrived. They were dressed like prison guards. What about my contributions? Jiang Chongkong said indifferently. Please take out the jade token. The corners of the 2 prison guards' mouths twitched. Are you doing this for merit points? The jade token was handed over. The prison guard shot out a beam of immortal light and took out a seal to stamp on the jade token. Jiang Chongkong sensed that there were 100 more merit points in his jade token. After handing the flame young master to them, he didn't stay and turned to leave. Jiang Chongkong, I will remember you. The flame young master roared. You should be glad that I didn't kill you. I have the right to kill you for barging into the southern heavenly gate. Jiang Chongkong looked at him coldly and left quickly. Heavenly General, what a hothead. He still dares to be so arrogant. The flame young master's father is an immortal and a great general. This heavenly general is really merciless. The immortals were discussing. Jiang Chongkong didn't listen to a single word. He was looking at the things he could exchange for. 100 merit points seemed to be enough to exchange for a peak rank 1 immortal pill or a peak rank 1 spiritual reserve. If he wanted to exchange for a rank 2 spiritual reserve, low grade would require 1,000 merit point. Mid grade would require 3,000 merit point. High grade would require 5,000 merit points, while top grade would require 8,000 merit point. Rank 3 heavenly immortals would require at least 15,000 merit point. Suddenly, he felt that the flame young master was very cheap. Forget it. This idiot doesn't know how to bribe me. He deserves to be beaten up and sent to prison. Jiang Chongkong wasn't that selfless. It's fine if you want to go down, but you went to greet the 9 heavenly generals and not me? You don't take me seriously at all, and you still expect me to let you go? I'll be letting you off easy if I don't break your legs. When he returned to the southern heavenly gate, the heavenly soldiers looked at him differently. There was fear and alienation. The flame young master's father was an immortal general. They were only martial immortals and human immortals. They didn't dare to offend the flame young master, nor did they want to be the scapegoat. If Jiang Chongkong didn't come, they would have let him go. In the end, he came and sent them to prison. Have you all forgotten the rules of the heavenly court and your duty? Jiang Chongkong looked at the heavenly soldiers and said coldly, Go and bring me the rules of the heavenly court and the duty of the heavenly soldiers. Yes. The heavenly soldiers immediately went to retrieve the books. They had no idea what this heavenly general was doing. Chapter 494. Heavenly Rules of the Heavenly Court. Those without earth badges are not allowed to leave the heavenly court. The guards of the heavenly gate are responsible for stopping those without earth badges. If they resist, they can kill them on the spot. If the heavenly soldiers aren't strong enough, they can report to the South Heaven Army and kill those who violate the rules. The duty of the heavenly soldiers is to guard the heavenly gate and prevent anyone from entering or leaving without orders. They are to protect the safety of the heavenly court. Voices were heard at the South Heaven gate. Jiang Chongkong leaned against the door and said calmly, "Louder! Heavenly rules. I can't hear you." Jiang Chongkong shouted coldly. Heavenly rules of the heavenly court. Those without earth badges, the heavenly soldiers channeled their immortal power and recited the heavenly rules. With the support of immortal force, it was simply deafening, like a thunderclap. Almost everyone in the heavenly court was an immortal god. None of them were deaf. The immortals were shocked when they heard the heavenly soldiers reciting. "This voice is coming from the South Heaven Gate? What are they doing at the South Heaven Gate? I heard that the guards of the South Heaven Gate sent young Master Yen to prison." "Young Master Yen? Yen Rui, the son of immortal Yen Maizen? Yes, that's him. He's already in prison." Voices of discussion could be heard. Many immortals came to the South Heaven Gate to watch. Jiang Chongkong put his hands behind his back and looked at the heavenly soldiers. The heavenly soldiers shouted at the top of their lungs, wanting to use all their strength. The group of immortals and deities looked at each other strangely. It wasn't a big deal. It was probably because the new heavenly general didn't receive any benefits. Usually, when they wanted to leave the heavenly court, they would be given a pill occasionally and they would be able to leave. Also, an immortal pill or immortal stone would allow them to leave in a few months or even a year. Yen Rui also gave them benefits, but it was obvious that they were from the past. The new heavenly general didn't receive any benefit. Yen Rui deserved to be unlucky. The immortals thought that they didn't want to give up those things. They deserved to be sent to prison. After watching for almost a day, the immortals finally dispersed. The expected revenge didn't come. No matter how stupid Yen Maizen was, he wouldn't ask someone to take revenge at this time. He had just sent his son in, so he was probably busy trying to save his son. When the sky darkened, Jiang Chongkong stopped them and reprimanded, "Remember your duties." "Yes," the group of heavenly soldiers said respectfully. Even though he was respectful on the surface, he didn't think much of it. He felt that Jiang Chongkong would only be able to enjoy himself for a few days before he was taken down by the god of destruction. "General, it's already dark. You should go and rest." "We'll stand guard," a heavenly soldier said respectfully. "I'm on duty now," Jiang Chongkong said calmly. "Have you forgotten the duties I just handed over to you? This general also has a duty." The heavenly soldiers, "All right, it's up to you. You can guard it if you want." Jiang Chongkong sat down cross-legged, took out the jade token, and began to look through some information. The immortal world was divided into 3 major regions: the immortal court, the divine court, and the heavenly court. Below the 3 top forces, there were also the demon clan and some powerful sections. As Li Qing has said, the immortal world was very dangerous. It was easy to join the 3 top forces. The heavenly court and the immortal court all had immortal records, while the divine court had god records. The demon clan wasn't anything good either. There would be restrictions after joining. The immortal world was almost set in stone. It was completely suppressed by these forces. After ascending from the mortal world, becoming a sage and unifying the immortal world in a few thousand or tens of thousands of years was pure nonsense. Without status or protection from a major force, wandering around the immortal world was very likely to be captured and sent to mine, or even beaten to death on the spot. Without a backer, newly ascended immortals were bound to die as soon as they arrived. Ordinary immortals really couldn't join the 3 top forces. Jiang Chongkong wasn't an ordinary immortal at all. He also looked up information about the East Sea. The great demons in the East Sea had long been wiped out. The ones left were all sky immortals, human immortals, martial immortals, and small demon kings whose cultivation techniques weren't good enough. To the heavenly court, the East Sea was pitifully weak. Any guard team could destroy them. Jiang Chongkong then looked at the information of his subordinate. The heavenly general token in his hand recorded the identities, portraits, and other information of his subordinate. 1,010 people. 10 human immortals. They weren't very strong. They were only at the mid-stage and late stage. None of them were at the peak. 1,000 heavenly soldiers were all martial immortals. After reading the information, Jiang Changkong had a better understanding of his subordinate. 10 small teams took turns to guard the South Heaven Gate. Each team would guard it for a month. The guard Jade token could sense the other guards and heavenly soldiers to confirm that they were guarding the gate. The Jade token also contained the information of the other heavenly soldiers. He carefully looked at it. Jiang Changkong looked at the mid-stage human immortal captain, closed his eyes, and released Chaos Divine Power. General Jiang. A voice rang out. It was very heavy, and it contained suppressed anger. Jiang Changkong opened his eyes and said indifferently, General Hu, what's the matter? Hu Jinyan was angry. What's the matter? King locked people in, and you're asking me what's the matter? General Jiang, can I have a word with you? Hu Jinyan suppressed his anger and forced a smile on his face. Jiang Changkong said indifferently, This is my duty. If you have anything to say it here. Here? Hu Jinyan was stunned. Jiang Changkong's expression was calm. Yes. Was he really stupid or was he pretending to be? Hu Jinyan looked at the heavenly soldiers. Forget it. None of them were good people. General Jiang, you've gotten into big trouble this time. Yan Meishan is famous for protecting his son. Hu Jinyan took a deep breath and said with concern. Jiang Changkong said indifferently, It's fine. I'm best at killing other people's sons. Hu Jinyan. Is there something wrong with your brain? General Jiang, I'm just reminding you out of goodwill. I'm also trying to help you. Flame Young Master is not a narrow-minded person. As long as you're willing to admit your mistake, you've made a mistake this time. Great General Yan Meishan will not make things difficult for you, Hu Jinyan said in a low voice. Hu Jinyan said in a low voice. Then, he took out a bottle of elixirs. This is a small token of my appreciation. Jiang Changkong took the bottle and glanced at it. He frowned. 3rd grade middle grade immortal pills? There were a total of 10 3rd grade middle grade immortal pills. This was not a small price to pay. Hu Jinyan said with a smile, General Jiang, I'll need more in the future, bam. How dare you bribe this general? Jiang Changkong pressed Hu Jinyan down. His spear pierced through the armor and he picked it up. You guys stand guard. I'm going to exchange them for merit points. The heavenly soldiers. F*CKU Jiang Changkong. You dog, Hu Jinyan cursed. If you don't want it, then don't accept it. Why do you want to put me in jail too? Next, another group of immortals and deities gathered to watch. Isn't that the southern heavenly gates general, Hu Jinyan? Send this new general to the dungeon as well? The 2 prison guards came again. Their faces were a little green. Can't you stop? You've already sent 2 in a day. So little. Only 50 merit points? He's a mid-stage heaven immortal, Jiang Changkong said unhappily. 50 merit points is not a small amount. The 2 prison guards shook their heads and left with Hu Jinyan. Jiang Changkong was a little disappointed. This guy was even poorer. Sigh, no wonder he didn't know how to bribe him with more. If this went on, even if he sent the remaining 8 generals in jail, he probably wouldn't have many merit points. Right, he had to share it with his brother. Jiang Changkong took out his jade token and contacted Li Qinghe. General, I've obtained 150 merit points. Let's share the good fortune together. I don't know you. Please don't contact me. Chapter 495. Li Qinghe's voice was trembling. He regretted bringing this fellow along. He had wanted to find a good helper, but it turned out to be a disaster. Why did you contact me at this time and call me brother? Didn't you not call me brother before? Jiang Changkong was a little disappointed. He had lost a brother on the surface. After returning to the South Heaven Gate, Jiang Changkong continued to sit cross-legged. He had to guard this place. The 4 gates of the Heavenly Court could all leave the Heavenly Court. However, the Heavenly Court was very big, and they couldn't wander around. The immortals near the South Heaven Gate basically left through it. Want to leave through the other gates? Sure, you should build a good relationship with the other immortals first. It was normal for immortals to give each other face. If they really had a good relationship and could leave through the other gates, he would really guard this place for half a year. Otherwise, it would be a waste of his armor if he didn't skin them alive. The heavenly soldiers became more and more obedient. They all stood very straight, afraid of being picked on. The 8 guards didn't come over again. They didn't want to go in after seeing Hu Jinyan. Right. Jiang Chongkong suddenly recalled something. He didn't seem to have handed over the pill. In other words, he took a bribe and sent someone in? Yes, he forgot. He sat quietly by the South Heaven Gate for 5 days. A general guarding the South Heaven Gate led 100 heavenly soldiers toward the South Heaven Gate. The guard walked at the front with his head held high, and the 100 heavenly soldiers followed closely behind. Just as they were about to step out of the South Heaven Gate, a cold shout was heard. Wait! General Jiang, what do you mean? Do I need your permission to go down and patrol? The heavenly general guarding the door looked at him coldly. Of course you don't need it, but the South Heaven Gate hasn't been peaceful recently. I need to check carefully. Jiang Chongkong said lightly. What a joke. Do you think you can check me? The guard snorted and waved his hand. Let's go. Who dares to stop us? Jiang Chongkong opened his eyes and looked at a heavenly soldier with chaotic divine power. When did heavenly soldiers become sky immortals? The guard's eyes flashed fiercely. I just recruited someone. Do I need you to ask? Let's go. Arrest them all and throw them into the dungeon. Jiang Chongkong snorted coldly. His chaotic divine energy was vast and mighty as he pressed down with his palm. How dare you! The defending general shouted angrily and his immortal power erupted. The other heavenly soldiers also hurriedly attacked. The immortal heavenly soldier's expression turned solemn as he stabbed forward with his sword. Boom! When Hun Dun's palm landed, the heavenly immortals, heavenly soldiers, and heavenly immortals were all sent flying while coughing up blood. The other heavenly soldiers were in an even more miserable state. Their armors were shattered and they almost exploded. Jiang Chongkong came to the heavenly soldier's body and poured chaos divine energy into it. The immortal soldier's appearance began to change. You want to deceive me with this little trick? You used your celestial power to change your appearance and used the heavenly armament jade token? Can't you pretend that nothing happened? I haven't walked out of the southern heavenly gate yet. The heavenly soldier turned back into a young man with an ugly expression. Jiang Chongkong said expressionlessly, What do you think? Can I walk by myself? The young man's face twitched. Do you want me to tie you up, or do you want to go by yourself? Jiang Chongkong said coldly. The heavenly soldiers and the defending general. You're good, we'll go to the dungeon ourselves. A few minutes later, Jiang Chongkong saw the 2 prison guards again. I've sent a group of them here. The 2 prison guards. I think one day you'll lock up the entire heavenly court. Aren't you afraid of offending people at all? 10 heavenly soldiers, 100 for this young master, 50 for the defending general, 1140 merit points, the 2 prison guards said with complicated expressions. No, you're missing one. I just didn't catch the heavenly soldier who lent him the jade token. The 2 prison guards remained silent and gave him 10 more merit points. Why do I feel like you're selling an immortal? Jiang Chongkong calculated. 1,000 merit points for low-grade second-grade immortal stones or spirit accumulations was equivalent to 100 essence, chi, and spirit accumulations. 4 top-grade first-grade immortal stones, 10 immortal stones was equivalent to 400 merit points. If he gathered 2 million merit points, he would be able to enter the late-stage human immortal realm. The 2 prison guards had no idea what Jiang Chongkong was thinking and left with the people. If he knew that Jiang Chongkong was calculating how many people he should send to the dungeon to gather 2 million merit points, he would probably ignore him. Jiang Chongkong turned around and left, thinking about how to send the remaining 7 defending generals in. Unfortunately, these people learned their lesson and did not do anything else. They thought to themselves that when they were guarding the city gates, they would not allow Jiang Chongkong to bring his men out. It was too disgusting. With Jiang Chongkong's actions, they would not benefit from following him, and the heavenly soldiers under him were about to complain. Jiang Chongkong continued to sit in front of the southern heaven gate and did not let any of them go. This was the only place where he could earn merit points for now. Another 2 days later, a golden light appeared in front of the southern heaven gate. 2 fairies appeared and walked toward the southern heaven gate while playing with each other. One was wearing a white dress and had a mid-stage heaven immortal realm cultivation. Her skin was fair like white jade, and her appearance was as exquisite as the Queen of Flowers, Hua Tianrui. The other was wearing a purple dress and had a faint floral fragrance. She was also beautiful, second only to the fairy in the white dress. Her cultivation was also in the mid-stage heaven immortal realm. The heavenly soldiers were startled and quickly said respectfully, "Welcome, exalted immortal." "Take out the heavenly badge," Jiang Chongkong said coldly. "Heavenly badge?" The 2 fairies were startled. Jiang Chongkong raised his eyebrows. "You don't have it?" They should be the immortals that were secretly released and had only just returned. "No, I know General Li Qinghe." "You can't know anyone. Without the heavenly badge, apart from the patrolling heavenly soldiers and heavenly generals, everyone is considered trespassing the southern heaven gate." Jiang Chongkong said expressionlessly. "Do you know who's behind me?" Jiang Chongkong pointed his spear at the purple-dressed woman. "Are you going to the dungeon yourself, or should I send you in? How dare a mere human immortal point a spear at me?" The golden spear pierced through the purple-dressed woman's body. Purple blood splattered. The purple-dressed woman looked at him in shock, then at the spear. The heavenly soldiers were dumbfounded. She was a lunatic. How could he do it to such a beautiful woman? The late-stage heaven immortal woman's expression changed. She slammed her palm at Jiang Chongkong. "How dare you fight back after trespassing the southern heaven gate?" Jiang Chongkong harumphed and raised his palm in response. Boom! The 2 palms collided with a divine aura. The white-dressed woman slid backward. The purple-dressed woman grabbed the spear and pulled herself away from the spear, ignoring the pain. "Are you all right?" The fairy in the white dress helped her up and took out an immortal pill for her to consume. "I'm fine." The purple-dressed woman's injuries healed quickly with the help of the immortal pill. "Not bad. No wonder you dared to trespass the southern heaven gate." Jiang Chongkong put the spear aside. He was surprised that a mid-stage heaven immortal could withstand his palm strike. Even though she did not use her full strength, it still proved that the white-dressed woman was not weak. "You've pissed me off." The white-dressed woman snapped furiously. A golden sword slashed across the rift. The purple-dressed woman took out a purple sword too and charged at Jiang Chongkong. Jiang Chongkong's expression was indifferent. Chaotic energy surged out of his body and rushed towards the 2 celestial maidens. "Anyone who trespasses the southern heaven gate will be sent to the dungeon." Chaos Divine Fist, suppress. The fists landed on the sword glow as the Chaos God Force collided with it. Rumble. The heavenly soldiers immediately retreated to the southern heaven gate after the raging God Force. When the longsword descended, it actually tore apart Jiang Chongkong's skin, causing him to be slightly shocked. However, he was not someone to be trifled with. The Chaos Force transformed and displayed the characteristics of the Taiji. Chapter 496. Golden light and purple light flashed in all directions. Jiang Chongkong's expression turned serious. He moved his palms and sensed danger. His fingers glowed with gray light as he tapped on the swords. With a loud bang, the 2 fairies' attacks dissipated and they retreated. "I'll give you one more chance. Enter the prison obediently." Jiang Chongkong's expression was indifferent. His injuries healed in the blink of an eye. "Impossible." The two harumphed coldly. Their swords vibrated and glowed with a dazzling light. You might not be our match. Jiang Chongkong raised his brows. An extreme sense of danger could be felt. Their auras instantly surged. Chaos Tai Chi, chaos divine power surged in their palms. It contained and deflected the force, increasing its might. Boom! Chi! The two swords vibrated and tore through the golden armor and his defense. It was so deep that one could see the bones. Now, let us in and we will pretend that nothing happened, the white-dressed lady said coldly. The purple-dressed lady also spoke. I can ignore that spear attack. It is my duty. Please make a trip to the prison. Jiang Chongkong opened his arms. His black hair danced in the wind and green light flashed. Chaos golden body. His body grew and his muscles were like dragons. Chaos divine power surged and doubled. The moment the white-dressed lady opened her mouth, a palm force pressed down. Another palm force enveloped the purple-dressed lady. Boom! Poochie! Blood splattered and cracks appeared on their swords. The two female immortals were sent flying. Golden blood and purple blood stained their dresses. Jiang Chongkong summoned his chaos divine power again. It was like a sky curtain that enveloped the two female immortals. The two female immortals used their divine power to destroy the chaos divine power. But as Jiang Chongkong's chaos divine power grew stronger, the two could not break the sky curtain. Surrender and you will be spared physical pain. Jiang Chongkong said indifferently, the people behind you will protect you after you enter the prison. I have also completed my duty. Let's not make things difficult for each other. The two female immortals looked at each other and seemed to have thought it through. Their swords dissipated. All right, let's stop fighting. We will follow you to the prison. Jiang Chongkong's expression was calm as he approached the two of them. The sense of danger came again. The two of them flashed, and their swords pierced straight at Jiang Chongkong's arms. Ding! As the divine power of chaos descended, the two swords were deflected, and Jiang Chongkong's palm force landed on the two of them. Chaotic divine energy surged, and the majestic divine energy forcefully suppressed the two's immortal energy. You expected our sneak attack? The white-robed female immortal exclaimed. Let's go to the dungeon. Jiang Chongkong said calmly and entered the South Heaven Gate with the two female immortals he was suppressing. The heavenly soldiers continued to guard the southern heavenly gate and sighed. This general would offend everyone in the heavenly court sooner or later. A few minutes later, Jiang Chongkong received another 200 merit points. Under the dissatisfied gaze of the jailer, he turned around and left. In the heavenly court's prison, the two female immortals looked depressed. In the next moment they were stunned. The purple-robed female immortal exclaimed, Why are there so many people here? Yenrei Luji, why are they all here? The white-robed female immortal was also surprised. Isn't that South Heaven Gate's General Hu Jinyan? He's also a general, and there are so many heavenly soldiers? The two jailers sighed. Should I give you a single cell, or do you want to be locked with them? Let's go with Lu Ji, we have something to ask him, said the white-robed female. Lu Ji and Yen Rui were both in single cells. The door opened, and Lu Ji said excitedly, Sister Zilan, are you here to bail me out? The purple-robed female. Bang! The prison door closed, and the jailer said, They were also sent in by that hothead. Lu Ji. Jiang Chongkong, you're so ruthless. What's going on? Didn't you say that you've built a good relationship? Why do I need a heavenly order to come back? The two female immortals questioned Lu Ji. There's a change, South Heaven Gate's General Li Qinghe, Lu Ji said with a sullen expression. He originally wanted to go down to play, but he was found hiding in the heavenly soldiers. Then what do we do now? Do we really let our parents come? Zilan's face turned green. I'll be beaten to death. I'm the same as Zilan, if my parents find out, they'll beat me to death too, said the white-robed female gloomily. Sneaking out of the heavenly court to play was already enough to make their parents angry. Now they were caught and locked in the heavenly prison, and they couldn't even beat a general. If word got out, their parents would lose face. "I'll let my father come." Lu Ji's mouth twitched, "but I'm not sure he'll come. Yen Rui's father can't bring himself to come." "Let's try." The two women sighed, and Zilan said fiercely, "This general is really a scumbag. Didn't we just not give him any benefits?" "I did," said Lu Ji gloomily. "Gave? Then he. Hu Junyan, guilty of bribery, sent to the heavenly prison." The two women. "Good thing we didn't give him anything back then, or else he'd be charged with bribery again." "No, I can't take this lying down," said the white-robed female angrily. "When I get out, I'll definitely teach him a lesson." "How?" "He's impartial and outspoken." Lu Ji rolled his eyes, then continued, "Or are you going to tell your parents and punish him? We can't let it get out, or we won't be able to leave the heavenly court in the future." The two women hurriedly shook their heads, paused, then said, "When we get the land medallion, you secretly bribe him." "Bribe? Didn't you always say that with enough benefits anyone can go crazy? What did Hu Junyan bribe before? A bottle of third-grade mid-tier immortal pills." "Of course not, his strength is enough to suppress us." The two women said disdainfully, "You have the nerve to bribe him with this little thing?" Jiang Chongkong sat cross-legged inside the southern heavenly gate, and a young heaven immortal walked over and said politely, "General Jiang, this is the land medallion. Come back with the heavenly medallion, don't lose it." Jiang Chongkong took the earth medallion and checked it. After confirming that it was real, he instructed, "Thank you, General." The young man cupped his hands and walked out of the southern heavenly gate. Jiang Chongkong personally sent him off, and the young man was a little confused. "General, I already gave you the land medallion. This is the first time I've met someone who does things according to the rules. I'll send you off." Jiang Chongkong smiled. "Thank you, General. I'm not some heaven immortal, I'm just an errand boy." The young man was flattered, thanked him, stepped into the tunnel, and left the heavenly court. Jiang Chongkong played with the land medallion. It was the size of a palm, and there was a word Earth on it, shining with golden light. He took out his heavenly general medallion, and the gold light dissipated when it sensed it. This meant it had been used, and could not be used again. This gold light was a secret art of the heavenly court, normal people could not copy it. His jade medallion could sense the authenticity, and so could the heavenly medallion. When immortals came and went, the heaven and earth medallions would be handed to him, and then returned to the heavenly court. He threw the earth medallion to the human immortal heavenly soldier, "Return this medallion." "Yes, General." The heavenly soldier accepted the order, and left with the earth medallion. Jiang Chongkong continued to sit at the edge of the southern heavenly gate, waiting for more merit points to be sent to him. Unfortunately, heaven immortals had deities behind them, and they only cost 100 merit points. He could not take down deities, or else it would be more expensive to kidnap them. He sighed and began to cultivate. Guarding the heavenly gate was not a good job. Was he really going to stay here for half a year?